Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, Parallel Deku, back with another fanfiction. This is the series of What If Deku Had to Protect Uraraka from the Shadows. Now before starting, please give this video a like. And subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. She had the best smile. There was this tree I would always sit under near the entrance of our school. It provided the perfect shade, and I often found myself there after school, writing about heroes or reading a book. Today was no different. Leaning back against the sturdy trunk, I enjoyed the cool shade. After a long day of hero training, it felt necessary to unwind. But it was hard to relax when someone occupied my thoughts. Ochako Uraraka. For a while now, we had been best friends. We did everything together, often joined by Ida. She was my closest friend, someone I could trust completely. So why was I feeling this strange sensation that wouldn't leave me? Whenever she crossed my mind, it stirred something inside me. My heart raced whenever we talked. It was a new feeling, something that had developed recently. What was causing it? And why wouldn't it go away? "Hey, Deku," someone called out. It was her making her way toward me. Her classic smile lit up her face, and it was impossible not to smile back. She was pure and kind-hearted, always knowing how to lift others' spirits. Everyone in our class admired her personality and determination, myself included. "Hey, what are you doing over here? Aren't you going to head home?" she asked, tilting her head slightly. "Yeah, I was about to start walking home actually. I like to sit out here sometimes to clear my head," I replied. "Oh, I see. Hey, want to walk home together?" "I was going to walk with Ida, but he already left," she suggested. I agreed, picking up my yellow school bag that had been leaning against the tree. Just like that, we set off. Uraraka didn't live too far from my apartment, so we often walked home together, sometimes with Ida, who also lived nearby. Today, walking alone with her, I felt that familiar flutter inside me again. The walk was quiet, as it usually was when we strolled together. Maybe there wasn't much to say, or perhaps it was just the awkwardness I often created. I couldn't help but glance at her as she happily walked along the sidewalk. She was just so pretty. There I went again, my face heating up at the thought. "Nice one, Izuku." "Deku? Are you okay? You look a bit flushed. Are you feeling all right?" she asked, pulling me from my thoughts. "Yeah, it's just a little warm is all," I managed to say. "Nice save there, Izuku." We walked in silence again, this time Uraraka engrossed in a book she had with her. I was surprised to learn that she loved reading. It wasn't a bad thing, it was just a hobby I hadn't known about until recently. We reached the entrance of my apartment building when Uraraka finally set her book aside. "Thanks, Deku, for walking with me. I'll see you at school tomorrow, right?" she asked. "Yeah, of course. Have a great rest of your day, Uraraka," I told her before jogging off toward my apartment. Looking back, I saw her walking home. Once inside, I slipped off my shoes and noticed that my mom was likely working, as she wasn't in the living room or kitchen. Another night alone awaited me. I tossed my bag onto the desk chair and flopped onto my bed, taking a moment to relax. He split away and headed toward his apartment building where he lived with his mother. The feeling I had experienced before surged back as he walked away. It was no secret that I admired Izuku. But that was all it was, right? Just admiration? I often pondered this when I was alone, trying to make sense of it all. It always came down to, you just admire him. But I admired many people. So why did I feel this way about him? I kicked a rock on the ground in front of me. I honestly didn't feel like reading right now, even though the book was getting interesting. My mind was too jumbled to focus. Why wouldn't this feeling leave? Was it because he was on my mind? It slipped away momentarily as I heard another set of footsteps. A quick glance over my shoulder revealed no one there. Must have just been my imagination. Being paranoid had its drawbacks, but I had learned to live with it. I was one of those paranoid people, always wary of what lurked around the corner or the constant feeling of being watched. I heard the footsteps again, turning around, but there was nothing there once more. It couldn't have been my imagination this time. Deciding it was best to hurry home in my anxious state, I jogged the rest of the way. "Boss, I have eyes on a girl you might like." This one is from that hero school up on the hill. I'm sure you'd want her. I'll report back and we can discuss a plan. The person cloaked in black stood in a dark alleyway, speaking into his transceiver before disappearing into the shadows, his task complete for now. It was Friday, and the weekend was approaching, which meant everyone was planning how to spend it. Some were going shopping together, some planned to hang out, and even Ida had plans to visit his brother. As for me, I would probably be at home, reading a book alone. That was how my weekends usually went. Everyone quieted down when Mr. Izuocha entered the room, and he began his lesson. I found myself drifting away from paying attention, my gaze wandering to him. A certain green-haired boy was furiously writing down notes from Izuocha's lecture. That feeling washed over me again. I didn't understand why it happened so frequently, but it was there. Just looking at him stirred something within me, his looks, his goals, everything about him made me feel this way. Pest, Ochako. What are you staring at? Mina asked, snapping me out of my trance and causing me to jump slightly. Nothing. Don't worry about it. I responded nervously. Did she notice? Because a certain someone over there doesn't look like anything, she whispered again. If there was anyone who would know about the feelings I had, it definitely wouldn't be Mina Ishido. It wasn't that she wasn't nice or friendly, but her teasing and gossiping ways made it clear that if she found out, nobody would hear the end of it. Especially me. Mina, is there something you'd like to share with the class? Mr. Izuocha asked. No, sir. Sorry to distract, she responded. Good, I'd like to continue. Anyway, the first quirk ever recorded was. My mind drifted away from his lecture again, and my eyes moved back to him. Staring was rude, but somehow I couldn't help myself. I didn't know if I liked this feeling or not, but one thing was for sure, there was no way to prevent it. It just happened. Turns out, you can easily get lost in your thoughts because the next thing I knew, he turned his head toward me. Immediately, I turned my head away, surely. Blushing. Oh no, I hope he didn't see me. Wait, is he still looking? No, he isn't. Okay, that's good, but wait, his face is starting to get red too. What does that mean? Does it mean anything? Does he like me back? No, he doesn't. You need to chill out, Ochako. You and Deku are friends, and that's all. He's embarrassed, and that's why he's red. Oh no, he probably thinks I'm weird now. After Mina's interruption in class, Mr. Izuocha managed to get back to his teaching, and I tried to focus on my notes. If you could call them notes, that is. My mind was focused on something else, a certain brunette girl who sat in the 5th seat in the class. For the first part of class, I was able to refrain from looking at her. If I did, I knew I'd end up staring, and that was something I didn't want others to see. But I guess one peek wouldn't hurt. My feelings got the best of me, and I looked over to her, only to find her eyes on mine. She immediately looked away, and so did I. Shoot. She saw me. Was she staring at me, or did we just happen to make eye contact? Out of the corner of my eye, I saw her face turn beet red, and mine was surely the same color. I hope I didn't just make this awkward. The rest of the class, I kept my eyes on my notes but didn't listen to Mr. Izuocha's lecture or write anything down. Really, it was to avoid looking back at her or anywhere else. I was positive I couldn't face her right now. Honestly, I don't think I wanted to, especially after that awkward mishap. Please let this class be over soon so I could go to the tree and hide from embarrassment. Luckily, that prayer was answered after a few minutes, and the bell rang for the end of the day. Mr. Izuocha reminded us of a project and training exercise coming up soon, but I didn't pay any mind to it. Right now, I wanted to go to the tree I usually sat under and just relax after that awkward moment. Uraraka immediately left the classroom once the bell rang, adding a little more embarrassment to the mix. I hoped it wouldn't affect our friendship. I packed up and almost made it out of the classroom when Ida stopped me. Everything okay, Midoriya? I noticed you were staring off into space in class. It's very unlike you, he asked. Yeah, I'm fine. Nothing to worry about, really, I reassured him. Alright then. Remember, you can talk to me. We are friends after all, he stated. Yeah, of course. I gotta get going now, though. Got a lot planned for the weekend, I said before walking off. That was a lie. The only thing I had planned was staying home and doing nothing while everyone else went out and had fun. I wasn't complaining, they all just had plans with their closest friends. And me? It was usual for me to stay home and do nothing if Uraraka and Ito were busy. I knew Uraraka probably had plans anyway, so there was no use in asking her. After pushing past many anxious students ready for their weekend, I successfully made it to the front doors and out of the school. All I really wanted right now was to be alone, relaxing by the tree and listening to music. Recently, Tokoyami had gotten me into Panic at the disco, and I quite enjoyed their music. But keeping to myself quickly changed when I saw her again sitting by the tree, reading. The bell rang, and I immediately headed out of the classroom. Deku and I were best friends, but I didn't want to confront him about my staring. I'm such an idiot. Why do I have to be like this? Luckily, I beat the oncoming hordes of students exiting their classes, pumped for the weekend. I figured walking home by myself would be more relaxing, so I decided to do just that. Until I passed that tree Deku told me about. It was the one he said he sat under every now and then to relax. Maybe it wouldn't kill me to try it out. Taking my bag off and setting it aside, I fished one of my books out and continued from where I last left off. I already felt a little more relaxed, confirming his statements as true. Definitely soothing, and the shade felt great. I felt really relaxed until... Okay, hey Uraraka. Deku said, coming toward me. Ugh, how didn't I see this coming? Of course, he'd come here, it was his favorite spot to go to after all. And now I'm here taking up his spot, and he's probably upset about it. It'd probably be best if I left anyway. Hey, I'll leave if you want me to. Sorry I took your spot, I stated, beginning to get up. No, it's okay. I don't mind you sitting there. But mind if I join you? He asked. Why yeah, I don't mind. He plopped his stuff next to mine and sat about a foot or two away from me, putting a headphone in. I noticed he had one out, possibly in case I wanted to say anything to him. But the weird feeling came back, and immediately I knew I probably couldn't say anything to him anyway. Reading the book became harder with him there and these feelings. Why won't they just go away? It was distracting me too much. Do I really like him? Of course not. He's my best friend, like I keep saying. Nothing else. Eventually, I gave up on the book. If anything, I'd catch up on it later. Right now, I just wanted to relax and forget about what happened earlier in class. Luckily, he hadn't mentioned it yet. Was that a good thing or a bad thing? I had no idea. So, do you have any plans this weekend? He asked, pulling me from my thoughts. Not really. Maybe just hanging out with my family like always, I replied. He took his other headphone out. Yeah, I don't really have anything planned either. Maybe. We could do something together. It's okay, I don't want to be a bother. I have no idea what we could even do anyway, I responded. Why did I say that? Of course, I wanted to hang out with him. You wouldn't be a bother. Come on, I'm sure we can find something fun to do, he insisted. Okay, you've convinced me, I told him. Great. I'm free tomorrow if you are. Also, we should probably start heading home. Don't want our parents worrying after all. Yeah, I'm free tomorrow. Just text me when you want to meet up. And yeah, we should probably get going. Mind if I walk with you? I asked him. He nodded, grabbing his belongings. I retrieved my items and put them in my bag, and we started our trek home. Luckily, he hadn't brought up the incident in class. He put his earbud back in and hummed along to whatever he was listening to. It sounded catchy, I could tell from his humming. We didn't say much, as it usually went when just the two of us walked home together. Not that we didn't have anything to talk about, we just preferred to keep to ourselves. With Ito we would be joking and talking up a storm. But things were just different with Deku. Sometimes I wondered if I was just a third-wheel friend. I knew it probably wasn't true since they were my closest friends, but sometimes you feel like that and can't help it. After what felt like an eternity of silence, we arrived at his apartment complex again. He waved goodbye, putting his other earbud in and running towards his apartment. That left me by myself, and I made my way back home. I was reminded of the day before with the footsteps but pushed the thought from my mind. Still, I looked behind me a couple of times before I got home just to be sure. Once I got home, I called out to my parents, but there was no answer. They were probably working late again. I kicked my shoes off at the door and went to my room. I flopped down onto my bed, checking the message Deku had just sent me, asking if 12 tomorrow was alright to meet up. I quickly replied with a, "Sounds good," before laying my flip phone down and resting my head on my pillow. I must have fallen asleep because I woke up to complete darkness in my room. I couldn't move, and panic set in. I tried my best to move any part of my body, but nothing seemed to work, so I focused on looking around. I stared in horror as I saw a figure standing in the corner of my room. Not just any figure, either. A dark silhouette of a person. "Ochako Uraraka, it's nice to meet you. There's no point in trying to move, it's useless." Fear struck me. My heartbeat increased rapidly, and I couldn't even breathe. Whoever that was knew my name. I couldn't scream, and I couldn't move. I felt like I was going to faint. "I'm not here for you. Not yet anyway. But we'll be coming for you soon. Now be a good girl and close your eyes." This couldn't be real. It couldn't be. I closed my eyes, waiting for something to happen. When it didn't, I opened them, and the figure was gone. Finally, I could move my body and quickly turn my lamp on. Sweat ran down my forehead, and I was terrified to see nobody there. It was only around 9, so I had been out for a few hours, but I knew there was no chance of me getting any sleep tonight. So in my tired state, I curled up into a ball and cried. "I'm back, master. Ah, Ishimori. What brings you here? I told you to call me by my villain name. I think I found someone of use to us. Someone for your little army." "Oh, and who would that be?" "Her name is Ochako Uraraka. She's a first year at UA High School. Her quirk is that anything she touches can turn to zero gravity." "Oh, that sounds like a very neat quirk to have. I'm very interested. So where is she?" "I've tracked her down, but I haven't gotten her yet." "And why not? If you're here to play games, you're no use to me, doctor." "She's a UA student at one of the most prestigious schools in Japan. If you want her, I'll need time. I can't just take a UA student without a plan." "Fair enough, we can't leave a trace like last time. I'll give you a month to bring her to me, and you'll get your reward. Now go, I have work to do." "Yes, master. I won't let you down again." Chapter end. He always knew how to make me smile. After the events that unfolded last night, sleep was impossible. I tried refreshing myself with a shower, but it didn't help. I felt exhausted, and I knew Deku would notice when we hung out today. I was still scared of whatever or whoever had been lurking in my room. It wasn't just my imagination, it could have been sleep paralysis. Even then, the voice echoed in my mind. "I'm not here for you. Not yet anyway. But we'll be coming for you soon." It sent shivers down my spine. Someone was coming after me. My mother noticed the dark circles under my eyes, but it was easy to convince her it was just lack of sleep. I didn't want to drag anyone into my problems. Overall, my morning was horrible, filled with fear, panic, and exhaustion, but if I showed it, Deku would definitely notice something was wrong. I just needed to act normal. "Going somewhere, sweetie?" my mother asked. "Yeah, I'm meeting up with a friend today. Is that all right?" I replied. "Is it that Deku kid you're always talking about? Or that other one, what's his name? Ida? Is he your boyfriend?" My mother bombarded me with questions. "And no, it isn't like that. We're just friends. Even if it were, Deku would never think of me like that, trust me, we're only best friends." I exclaimed. My mother chuckled at my flustered state. "It's okay, sweetie, I'm just teasing you. Now run along and have fun." "But not too much fun," she said, winking at me. I quickly left the room, my face surely beet red. Great, this probably wouldn't fade by the time we met up. There were only a few minutes until noon, so I would be on time. I could only hope he wouldn't notice the bags under my eyes. Up the road, leaning against a lamppost, there he was. He seemed to be on his phone with his earbuds in, probably jamming to music as he waited for me. God, he was so cute. "No, Ochako, stop. Now's not the time for that. Don't let your feelings ruin today." Once I pushed those thoughts aside, I walked towards him. He noticed me, smiled, removed his earbuds, and waved. I waved back, but his expression changed, and it didn't take a genius to know why. "Hey, Uraraka. Are you okay? You've got bags under your eyes," he asked. Yeah, I just didn't sleep well last night. Nothing else, really, I replied, my nervousness evident in my voice. Uraraka, we're friends. I'm here for you if something is wrong, he said gently. I promise I'm fine, see? Would I be smiling if I wasn't? I asked, forcing a smile. All right, if you say you're okay, then I'll believe you. I was thinking we could hit up this new coffee shop nearby. Then just walk around and find something else to do, he suggested. Sounds good, actually. Let's go, I said. We began our walk, and while he focused on the sidewalk ahead, my eyes darted around. Even with Deku, I felt the need to be on edge. Was it real or just a hallucination? I didn't really know anymore. Ochako, stop worrying about it. You're supposed to be having fun with Deku, so have fun. Calming down, I walked beside him instead of behind him. I needed to show him I appreciated his invitation today, not let worries about something I may or may not have imagined ruin it. Besides, the coffee would give me a fresh start to the rest of the day. Things like this shouldn't bring me down. I'm a UA student, after all. An awkward silence filled the air as we walked, and that familiar feeling returned whenever he crossed my path. I still didn't understand why these feelings emerged. I could hardly talk to him when we were alone anymore. Ah, there it is. My mom said they had amazing coffee when she stopped here the other day, Deku said, looking at me. Then it's bound to be good, let's hurry, I said, grabbing his arm and running toward it. It wasn't like I was excited or anything, I was just tired and wanted something to wake me up. Yeah, that's it. We crossed the street, looking both ways, and reached the door, where he held it open for me. I thanked him as we entered the shop, which had a pleasant aroma and a cozy atmosphere. Then I realized I hadn't brought my wallet, as I didn't know we'd be coming here. Deku must have noticed too. Don't worry, I'm covering the costs this time, Deku told me. No, you don't have to do that, Deku, I protested. Yeah, I don't have to, but I want to, he said, winking and pulling out his wallet. He is always so nice and sweet. I told him my order, then passed by someone sitting at a table before taking a seat at a table for two. This place seemed so romantic. Wait, is this a date? No, of course not. He just invited me because we both didn't have anything to do. It didn't matter what I wanted this to be considered. I knew deep down we were only friends. I just needed to push these feelings away somehow. Hey, Uraraka, he said, startling me and snapping me from my thoughts. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't mean to scare you. Also, I placed our orders, he said nervously. You're fine, really. I'm just, really tired. I need to stop staying up so late, I replied. He raised an eyebrow at my nervousness. Honestly, Deku, I'm fine. But I really appreciate you worrying about me. It's really sweet. He smiled and blushed a little, which I noticed, causing me to blush as well. It was true, he was always so sweet towards me and put his friends first. I always respected him for that. It's probably why I liked him so much. I smiled, which he thankfully didn't see, or else he would have questioned it. There was just something about him that made me smile at times. Maybe it was his eyes, maybe it was his smile, or maybe it was his caring personality. We sat in silence for a while, waiting for our coffees to arrive. I wished they would come sooner. I was resisting the urge to yawn at this point. Looking around the place, there weren't many people in the shop, despite it being new. Actually, besides Deku and me, there weren't any other customers in the shop except for the one person I passed earlier. We didn't have to wait long for our drinks as the waiter brought them out for us. I decided on a latte, and Deku chose a mocha drink. It was peaceful, really, sipping our coffees in a cozy shop with a warm atmosphere. Eventually, we finished our drinks and gathered our things to leave. The coffee was amazing, and Deku left a few dollars as a tip. We walked to the door after throwing our trash away when another man in the store bumped into us from behind with some force. It startled us and pushed Deku against the wall, causing him to frown in annoyance. Hey, that was rude. What gives? Deku exclaimed, stepping up to confront the man. The man quickly turned, extending his finger and lightly touching Deku's forehead. In an instant, Deku dropped to the ground. I stared in shock, just as the employees did. The man then looked at me, lowering his finger before turning away. It was him. I warned you we were coming, Ochako Uraraka. And we will get you when you least expect it. I felt a wave of fear wash over me as I dropped to the floor. It was him, the figure from my room last night. He walked away, leaving me shivering as tears began to form. This was real. As he rounded the corner and exited the coffee shop, I heard a snap of fingers, and Deku stirred slightly before trying to get up. Deku! I shouted, rushing to his side. I helped him up. What happened? He asked, rubbing his head, likely from where he had fallen. Why, you don't remember? I questioned. I remember finishing our drinks and getting up. But that's it, he replied, still rubbing his head. Why, yeah, you just passed out for a moment. We should head to your place, okay? I suggested. What about our fun day? And why are you crying? I'll explain later. Come on, let's hurry back to your place, please. We need to make sure you don't have a concussion, I said, helping him stand fully. As I assisted Deku out of the coffee shop, I noticed he looked a bit pale, and he immediately scanned the area as we exited. I could ask him about it later. He clearly wasn't in the right frame of mind for questions now. He was able to walk better, so I let him go as we made our way back to my apartment. I'm glad you're okay, that was quite a fall, I told him. Yeah, I don't know what caused it. Hopefully it's nothing serious, he replied. I needed to keep the focus on him for now. His feelings came first. If something did happen that he couldn't remember, I didn't want to burden him with it right now. All I could do was try to make him feel better. We walked in silence on our way to my mom's apartment. She always slept so peacefully. Ah, Ishimori, you're back. How did it go? I told you to call me by my villain name. And I didn't get her yet. That's not what I wanted to hear, Doctor. I gave you time, but that doesn't mean you can slack off. I could have grabbed her, but we were in a public setting. She had this boy with her, and it caused a commotion. I was able to make him sleep with my quirk, though. If it hadn't been a public setting, I would have had her. Then you'll have to get her alone. This Ochako Uraraka is very important for our plans. We have people with brawler and other quirks, but hers is unique. And I want it for our liberation. If you can provide me with help, I'll get what you seek quicker. Then we can make her join us and our cause. I have some people who may be able to help, Ishimori. I have faith in your skills. Now leave me be. I can't wait for her arrival. Yes, Master. She will be in your possession soon. As we arrived back at my mom's apartment, she was nowhere in sight, which meant she took another late shift, and I'd probably be making dinner tonight. It wasn't a big deal, though. I always enjoyed helping my mother, and that would mean she wouldn't bombard me with questions. Okay, my mom isn't here, so that's good. Come on, we can hang out in my room, I told Uraraka. Why is it good that she's not here? She asked. Because my mom would probably fangirl at the fact I brought a pretty girl here, I replied. Pretty, huh? She said, giggling and blushing. Oh, no, that's not. I'm sorry I said that. Please forgive me, I stammered. It's okay, Del. I'm not going to be mad over a compliment, she said, giggling again. With that reassurance in mind, she admired all the All Might collectibles and posters around my room. She hadn't really been to my house before, but my mom had heard about Uraraka a bunch, teasing me every time I talked about her. The same went for her. I'd never been to her house or met her parents. When we had to study, we usually did it at school or with Ida at his house. You can sit on the bed if you want, I offered. Oh, okay, she replied, plopping onto the bed and kicking her feet back and forth. We didn't talk much, just hanging out while I listened to music and finished my homework assignments so I could enjoy the rest of my weekend. After a while, though, it stressed me out, and I turned to Uraraka to say something, anything to clear my mind. That's when I realized she had fallen asleep on my bed, her legs hanging off of it. I decided to let her be. I knew she didn't get much sleep last night, and she was probably exhausted. So I did what any good friend would do and grabbed a small blanket from the closet, carefully putting it over her. She moved a little, and I thought I woke her up, but she settled back down and continued sleeping. She slept so peacefully. Not in a creepy way. She just looked so serene and innocent. It caused me to smile, seeing her able to rest. I still didn't know what she was going through or what was happening to her, but whatever it was, I would find a way to help her. Izuocha, she whispered sleepily, tucking her feet onto the bed. She was still asleep. A blush formed across my face. She was thinking, dreaming about me. I giggled at it, watching her breathe quietly as she slept. To avoid feeling creepy or waking her, I left the room to get a drink and a snack. Once I grabbed those, I went back to my room, checking the time on my phone. It was around 6 o'clock now, so we had been hanging out for about 5 hours, and she had been asleep for maybe 2 hours, judging by the last time we talked. I went back to working on my homework, determined to finish it tonight. It took another hour or so, but I was able to complete my assignments. I looked over to Uraraka, who was still sleeping peacefully. My heart started to flutter as it usually did, but honestly, I didn't mind. I liked her. And maybe more than a friend. It was new to me, so I couldn't really determine how much I felt for her. But those feelings I had been experiencing had to mean something at least. I snapped out of my thoughts as Uraraka shifted on the bed and woke up, rubbing her eyes. Deku? What time is it? She asked tiredly, yawning slightly. It's around 7 now. Did you sleep well? I asked her, chuckling. Why, yeah, she answered, pulling her legs up to her face. I'm glad you could get some rest. It's getting late though, you should head home so your parents don't worry, I told her. Yeah, you're probably right, she replied. Hey, Deku. Yes? What is it, Uraraka? Would you mind walking me home tonight? I don't feel comfortable walking home by myself this late, she asked me. Of course, no problem. I don't know what caused me to fall asleep on Deku's bed, but I somehow felt safe. Maybe that was why. Knowing he was right beside me must have eased my mind a little. Probably because I knew he could protect me if anyone came after me. We stepped out and it was starting to get dark and cold. I should have brought a coat. Hey, wait here a second, Uraraka. I'll be right back, Deku said, running back into the house. Confused, I stood in the doorway and waited for him to return as he ran into his room. Walking home in this cold was going to be uncomfortable, but at least I wasn't walking home alone. I didn't feel safe walking by myself. Deku came out holding something and handed it to me. Here, put this on, he said, handing me a green hoodie that was definitely a size or two too big for me. It's okay, Deku, I'm fine. You don't have to let me borrow this, I said, feeling a blush creeping up. It's fine. Besides, I wouldn't want you getting cold. I gave in and slipped the hoodie on, and as expected, it was a size or two too big. But I didn't mind as I was hit with a wave of warmth. It smelled like him. I blushed at the thought as he began walking me home. I just couldn't get over how comfortable and warm it was. Deku surprisingly didn't have earbuds in this time. You feel any better after that nap? He asked me. Yeah, sorry I fell asleep on your bed. I apologized. Hey, you don't need to apologize. I'm just happy you were able to rest, he said, smiling at me. We made small talk on the way to my home, enjoying the approaching night. For the first time in the past day or so, I was able to walk without the feeling of being watched or followed. Eventually, we reached my house, and as I started to take off the hoodie, Deku stopped me. You can hold on to it for now, he told me, pointing at the hoodie. Why, you sure? I don't want you to go without it, I replied. I have other hoodies, don't worry about it. Thank you, Deku. Have a good night, I told him. You too, Uraraka. Sleep well, he said, smiling as he walked away. I smiled back at him as he left. Deku, thank you for everything. After dinner with my parents, who playfully questioned me about the hoodie, I headed up to my room to relax. I placed the hoodie on my desk chair and changed into a tank top and pajama pants before flopping onto my bed. I figured I would read a little and then fall asleep. But even though I was a bit tired, I knew I wouldn't be able to sleep because of the events of the day. That man was still out there, and he wanted to take me. I ended up reading my book, getting lost in it until I glanced at my phone and saw it was 10:30 p.m. I put the book down, turned off my light, and tried for over 30 minutes to sleep, but as I suspected, it was no use. I felt too scared to even close my eyes for a few seconds. I decided to check my phone to see if he was awake. Maybe he could help me get to sleep. Ochako, Uraraka, 11:17 p.m. Hey, Deku. I know it's late, but are you awake? Izuku Midoriya 11:20 p.m. Yeah, sorry I was listening to music and didn't hear your message. Can't sleep? Ochako Uraraka 11:20 p.m. Yeah, I don't know why. Izuku Midoriya 11:21 p.m. Are you okay? I wanted to ask earlier, but it didn't seem like the right time. I feel like you're not telling me something. Ochako Uraraka 11:21 p.m. I told you I'm okay, smiley face. I wouldn't lie to you, Deku. I promise. Izuku Midoriya 11:21 p.m. Alright, I trust you. Tongue sticking out, please get some sleep though. Promise me that? Ochako Uraraka 11:22 p.m. No promises. Good night, Fte. Izuku Midoriya 11:22 p.m. Night, Oka. Sleep tight. I smiled at that little nickname before putting my phone down. I knew I wouldn't be able to sleep until I had the hoodie he let me borrow. If I felt safe when I slept near him, then I got up and grabbed the hoodie, slipping it on. It still smelled like him, which made me blush again, and it was nice and warm. I then crawled into bed. I lay there for a few minutes before the tiredness took over. In just a minute or so, I was sleeping peacefully in my bed. She had a secret, but she wouldn't tell me. You wanted to see me, master? Ishimori asked. Ah yes, Ishimori. I wanted you to meet your new partner. This is Akiko Izanagi, but she goes by the name, the Wolf. So this is who I'm working with? He doesn't look like anything special, the woman remarked. I bet one touch would make you change your mind. So, the Wolf, why don't you explain your quirk to me? Then I'll consider your help, Ishimori suggested. Quite simple really. My fingernails are as sharp as daggers and can extend up to 5 inches. They're naturally red and look cute, and they can't be broken unless you use extreme force. Match that with my speed, and I can't be stopped, Akiko explained. A viable option. I can use you for something special. Now explain to me your quirk so I can see if you're worth my time. Well now, you'll just have to wait and see on that one, Ishimori said with a smile as he walked out of the room. The sun shone through my window, waking me from my sleep. The first thing that came to mind was that I was still wearing Deku's hoodie. I smiled, feeling as if he was embracing me, which made me blush slightly. Checking the time, it was around 9 in the morning, and I felt refreshed from the sleep I had just enjoyed. I changed into some pants and a t-shirt while putting my clothes and items in the washer and dryer. I messaged Deku to see if he wanted to do anything today, but he didn't respond, so I assumed he was either asleep or busy. He'd probably get back to me later. My parents were in the kitchen, my mom enjoying her coffee and my dad reading the newspaper. I greeted them before getting a bowl and some cereal for breakfast. I took the seat next to my mom at the table and began eating. Any plans today, sweetie? Hanging out with friends? My mother asked, probably noticing that I was dressed early. I dunno yet. I'm waiting to see if Deku would like to hang out today, I replied, earning a raised eyebrow from my mom. Deku again, huh? You seem to be spending a lot of time with him lately. Is there anything you want to tell us? She asked, her eyebrow arched. And no, it isn't like that. You see, Ida's out of town, so yeah. It's nothing like that, Mom. We just didn't have plans this weekend, so we decided to hang out. I explained, my nervousness evident as I felt my cheeks flush. If you say so, sweetie. I'm sure he was the one who let you borrow that hoodie, right? Sounds like he might have a little crush on you, she said, winking. A boy? Crushing on my daughter? I surely hope not, my dad chimed in. He let me borrow it because it was cold and I didn't want to walk home in the chill. That's it, I promise. I insisted, my face feeling like it was on fire. Calm down, Tuko. We're only teasing you. Anyway, would you mind picking up some milk from the store? I know you used the rest, she said. Yeah, I can do that once I'm done, I told her. Once I finished breakfast, my mother handed me the money. I got ready, slipping on my shoes and Deku's hoodie, and left for the corner market down the street. I felt in a much better mood today, possibly due to the sleep I had gotten. It only took a few minutes to arrive at the market, and I bought the milk my mom sent me to get. As I walked back home with the milk in a grocery bag, my phone buzzed with a notification. I pulled out my flip phone to see it was from Deku. I smiled and went to open the message, but as I passed an alleyway, I heard something. It sounded like crying. I hesitated to go into the alley as it could be a trap, but if someone was hurt, I needed to check it out. The crying was coming from the side of a dumpster, the side I couldn't see, and it sounded like a child. That eased my apprehension a little, as it seemed safer. However, as I rounded the corner, I started shaking when I saw nothing but a portable speaker there. It suddenly stopped, and I heard footsteps behind me. It was a trap. A woman with long red hair and pale skin, wearing a black cloak and a black eye mask, stood there. You look terrified. Don't worry, I'm only here to scout and get a look at you. If I really wanted, I could easily capture or harm you right now. But I have orders not to. They just wanted me to see who I'd be dealing with, she said. What do you want with me? I stuttered, fear gripping me. I'm not ordered to say. But I will say that we won't stop until the boss has you. You're very important to his plans, she stated. I'll call the police. Pro heroes will stop you. I shouted, tears beginning to flow from my fear. Listen, Ochako, is it? If you tell anyone, we'll hurt that little friend of yours. Or is it your boyfriend? The one with the green hair, I believe Ishimori explained him as. And then it'll be your family. So do us a favor and keep that pretty mouth shut, she said, taking a step closer. Or else. She walked past me and deeper into the alleyway as I collapsed to the ground, fear overwhelming me as I cried heavily. Not even Deku's hoodie could comfort me right now. Why is this happening to me? I needed to get out of here. I quickly got up, grabbed the shopping bag, and ran out of the alleyway, nearly colliding with a pedestrian as I did so. The tears in my eyes clouded my vision, but I knew the way back home. I couldn't do anything. I felt useless. I didn't stop running until I reached home, realizing my parents had already left for work, as they worked in construction and were gone most of the day. I fumbled with the keys, glancing behind me to ensure nobody was following. I got the door open and rushed inside, slamming and locking it behind me. I put the milk in the fridge, wiped my tears, and ran to my room. Fear and shock washed over me as I curled up into a ball on my bed. Someone was after me, and I couldn't even tell anyone. If I did, they would. They would hurt him and my family. The thought made me cry more, fearing for the lives of those I loved and cared for. I then remembered the message from Deku and wiped my tears away to check it out. Ochako Uraraka 9:18 a.m. Hey, morning. Would you want to hang out again today? Izuku Midoriya 9:49 a.m. Hey. I just woke up. Yeah, sure, just give me a bit and we can meet up. Ochako Uraraka 10:03 a.m. Sounds good, smiley face. I could really use a friend right now. Izuku Midoriya 10:04 a.m. Everything alright? It took you a while to respond. Ochako Uraraka 10:04 a.m. Yeah, I went to get milk from the store. I'm fine, just bored, tongue sticking out. Izuku Midoriya 10:05 a.m. Okay. I'm on my way now and will be there soon. I needed him here right now. I couldn't be alone at this moment. Not after that encounter. She wasn't the same person as before, the one before was a man. That meant there was more than one after me. I didn't feel safe without someone here. I moved to the living room, pacing back and forth and looking outside occasionally to make sure nobody was around. Eventually, I heard a knock, and I ran to the window, peeking through the blinds. It was him. I rushed to the door, unlocking and opening it before grabbing his arm and pulling him inside. A few seconds after knocking, the door swung open, and Uraraka pulled me inside. Once I was in, she shut the door and locked it behind her. She seemed anxious about something, and her eyes were puffy, indicating she had been crying. You okay, Uraraka? You look a bit on edge, I asked her. Yeah, I'm okay, I'm just excited to hang out with you, she said, forcing a smile. Then why are your eyes puffy? You were crying, weren't you? I pressed. Deku, I have no idea what you're talking about. Come on, let's go hang out in my room, she said, pulling me in that direction. We entered her room, which was decorated in pink, white, and some brown, reminiscent of Neapolitan ice cream. However, I wasn't here to admire her decor. I shut the door behind me, and she looked at me with confusion. Ochako, tell me what's really going on. Two figures perched on a nearby rooftop. So, did you run into her down there? Ishimori asked. Yeah. For a UA student, she doesn't act like one. She seemed shaken after seeing me, was the reply. That's good, which means she probably won't fight back. When should we go after her? Ishimori inquired. Sooner than we thought. We just need to play the waiting game. She'll be completely broken soon enough. Then we'll take her and the boss will reward us. Ishimori stated. Yes. But I'm not in it for the reward. I want the fame from it all. I want everyone to fear us, Akiko declared, walking off. And they will soon. I wanted to help her feel better. She stared at me, a different expression on her face. I could tell she wasn't being completely honest. Something was troubling her, and I needed to find out what it was so I could help. Deku, nothing is wrong, I promise. Everything is fine, so don't worry, she reassured me, but I wasn't convinced. You can't fool me, Uraraka. You were crying and acting paranoid when I got here. Why? I asked her. Deku, I really don't know what you're talking about. Come on, let's relax and have fun, she replied, trying to change the subject. Uraraka, you know what I'm talking about. You promised me you wouldn't lie to me, so please tell me. Deku, I'm not lying. I'm fine really, she insisted, her voice trembling. I thought we were best friends. We promised to help each other and share everything, I said. We are best friends, she replied, shaken. Aren't we? I realized I might have chosen my words poorly, as she pulled her legs up onto the chair to cover her face and remained in that position. I felt terrible for pushing her to say something she wasn't ready to share. I just wanted to help. I walked over to the chair and knelt down to her level. Uraraka, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I meant that we're best friends and I want to help you, I said softly. And oh, I'm sorry, Deku. I've been dealing with a lot lately. Personal things I can't and won't say. I just need a friend right now, she said, lifting her head to reveal her tears. I'm here now, Uraraka. I just wanted to see that smile you used to have. It hurts me to see you upset. I told her. Deku, could I get a hug? She asked. Of course, Uraraka. I'm here for you, I replied. We stood up, and he embraced me in a hug. In that moment, holding each other, I felt a wave of calm wash over me. But I still felt guilty for not being honest with him, even after I promised I would be. We held each other for about a minute as I fully calmed down. I cherished this feeling of safety in his arms, but I couldn't express that to him. We pulled away from each other but remained close, gazing into each other's eyes. I always liked his soft, green eyes. They were calming. Then I felt that familiar sensation that lingered when we were together, but it was stronger this time. I smiled at him as my heart began to race. He smiled back, but then his expression returned to its usual calm. Like two magnets, our heads began to move closer together. He closed his eyes and I followed suit. Were we going to? I felt time stop. Our heads drew nearer, and my heart raced as if it would burst. Our lips were almost touching when, Uraraka, we're back. Sorry, your dad and I had paperwork we had to finish. I heard my mother call from the living room. Deku and I immediately jumped away from each other, our faces flushed. Panic set in as I realized my mom didn't know him, and neither did my dad. We would both be in trouble. What are we going to do? Deku said, pacing. I tried to think quickly. You'll have to go out the window, hurry. I whispered, opening it. Ochako? You in there? My mother asked. Yeah, just a second. I replied, helping him out the window. Just as he got out, my mom entered the room. Hey, everything all right in here? She asked. Yeah, of course, Mom. Why wouldn't it be? I answered. Just checking, sweetie. Sorry for leaving without messaging you. Your dad and I had to finish some paperwork quickly at the office, my mother explained. You don't need to apologize. I'm probably just going to read and relax, I told her. Oh, all right. I'll leave you to it. Love you, sweetie. Love you too, Mom, I replied as she left. I quickly returned to the window and saw Deku crouching just below it. We exchanged smiles before saying our goodbyes, and he walked off to head home. Then it hit me we almost kissed. Did we? Surely it was something else. It had to be. There was no way he would kiss me. We're just friends. I pushed that thought aside and sent Deku a quick smiley face emoji before opening my book to read. I had completely forgotten about the earlier incident, but a few minutes later, I heard my phone ding. I opened the message. Izuku Midoriya 10:32 a.m. I'm sorry. I didn't know what I was thinking. Let's forget what happened, please. And there was something that crushed me. I knew exactly what he was referring to. We both had different feelings about it. I felt so foolish. I knew it was a mistake. Come on. You knew he wouldn't like you like that. You knew. Once again, I felt horrible. In just the last 20 minutes, everything had been a whirlwind of emotions. I honestly thought we shared a connection. I didn't respond to his message. Instead, I threw my phone across the room and brought my knees to my head after taking off his hoodie. I had a lot to think about. Izuku Midoriya 10:32 a.m. I'm sorry. I didn't know what I was thinking. Let's forget what happened, please. I immediately regretted sending that. I only sent it in case she felt uncomfortable about what happened. I mentally facepalmed myself as I headed home. Why was it always me who seemed to ruin things? Why couldn't I do anything right for once? Checking my messages with her, I saw read, but she didn't respond. Great. I shoved my phone into the pocket of my jeans and headed home. At least there, I couldn't possibly mess anything up. That green-haired kid just left the house. He seems to come around often. It could be an issue later, Akiko said, setting down the binoculars. Not with my quirk he won't, Ishimori replied. Can you just tell me your quirk already? It's getting annoying not knowing, Akiko stated rudely. Fine. My quirk allows my fingers to act like serums, hence why it's called serum. Each finger is different. Starting from my pinky and moving up, I have a tranquilizer, sleep agent, paralysis, nausea, and my thumb is a poison. I can cancel their effects by snapping my fingers, but since I can't snap my thumb, the poison is permanent unless you reach a doctor quickly, Ishimori explained. Now the name, Plague Doctor, makes sense. I must admit, that's quite a fitting quirk for a villain like you, Akiko remarked. I should also mention that I can combine serums by using 2 or more fingers at once. If I use all 5 on someone, it could lead to a rapid and serious outcome, he added. I'm starting to think this won't be a bad team-up, wouldn't you agree? Akiko asked him. We'll see soon enough. Now let's get to work. The master does not tolerate slacking. It was Monday and time to return to school for another long week. However, as I walked through the halls, I noticed that Uraraka was absent. It felt strange. She never missed a day, and everyone in our class was aware of this. I sent her messages throughout the day, but she hadn't even read them, which only deepened my concern. I hoped she was okay. After a long day of tedious classes, we finally settled into Aizawa's class. Ida and I were discussing our upcoming projects and training exercises, but my mind was elsewhere. I was extremely worried about Uraraka and kept glancing at my phone, hoping for a message that would reassure me. Suddenly, Aizawa received a call on the school phone. After a brief conversation, he turned to me. Problem child, All Might needs to see you. He said it was very urgent, Aizawa explained before retreating back into his sleeping bag. What's that all about, Midoriya? Ida asked. I'm not sure. I'll let you know, I replied, standing up from my desk. He nodded as I walked toward the door, my classmates watching me with curiosity. What could All Might want to discuss? I felt a knot of anxiety in my stomach as I made my way down the empty hall to All Might's classroom. When I opened the door, I was surprised to see him in his casual form, waiting for me. Hey All Might, you wanted to talk to me? I asked. Yes, take a seat, he instructed. I sat down at one of the desks. Is it about one for all? All for one? I began to ask. No, it isn't about that. It's about Ochako Uraraka. She's your friend, right? He inquired. Yeah, she's one of my best friends. Why? I asked, realizing this was the reason for our meeting. Principal Nizu and I need your help. A friend of mine from the police force sent me 2 videos from this weekend. We only ask for your assistance because you're present in one of them, he stated, pulling out his phone to show me. He played the first video, which was filmed in a coffee shop. It showed me on the floor and Uraraka collapsing beside me, seemingly frightened. The person filming said something to her before leaving, and then the video ended. I don't remember that, I admitted. Really? Perhaps his quirk has something to do with it. What do you recall? He asked. I remember getting up and then blacking out. That's what Uraraka told me, I explained. Witnesses stated that the man only touched you once before you were out. The second video is concerning as well, he said, pulling up the next video. This one showed Uraraka walking into an alley, where a woman appeared to confront her. After a minute, Uraraka ran out, visibly upset, nearly colliding with someone as she fled, while the woman vanished from view. This was recorded by someone vlogging. We need to know if she's been acting strangely lately, he pressed. Yeah, but she didn't tell me why. Now I understand. I should talk to her about it, I suggested. No, you shouldn't. It seems she may have encountered these people before, which explains her reaction. We suspect they might be threatening someone she knows to keep her quiet. This could be why she hasn't been honest with you, he explained. What do you want me to do? If I don't know the full story, I can't really help, I replied. Nizu and I want you to keep a close eye on her. Try to gather more information now that you have some context. When you're with her, stay aware of your surroundings and maintain close contact. We believe she's avoiding school out of fear, All Might instructed. Alright, I can do that. Honestly, I've been really worried about her, and the fact that she's not being truthful makes it worse, I admitted. Thank you for your cooperation. Please try to visit her today to see if she's alright, he urged. I will. The bell rang, signaling the end of the school day. I waved goodbye to All Might and hurried toward the exit. Once outside, I made my way to her house. She had a lot on her plate, and I wanted to help her feel better. But how? I remembered she loved sweets, especially candy and mochi. So, I decided to stop at a store along the way to pick some up, not just to cheer her up, but also to apologize for the message I sent her yesterday, which weighed on my mind. As I walked to the store, I couldn't shake the thought of those two people from the videos. Were they new villains? What did they want from her? I pushed those thoughts aside. Right now, my priority was to protect her and lift her spirits. After a while, I reached the corner market near her home and bought some candy. I noticed that mochi was a bit pricey, which I recalled her mentioning before. Despite the cost, I bought a few packages. It was worth it for her. I paid and grabbed the bags before leaving the store. When I arrived at her house a few minutes later, I felt a bit more at ease since there were no cars in the driveway. I knocked on the door, but there was no answer. I knocked again, and still nothing. Worry crept in. She could be with her parents, but if they were working and she was alone, something might have happened. My last resort was to check her bedroom window, the same one I had climbed out of yesterday. I gently knocked on it, and within moments, the curtains parted. Uraraka looked surprised to see me. I pointed toward the door, and she nodded, disappearing behind the curtains. By the time I reached the front door, she was there, unlocking it and opening it wide. She was still in her pajamas, her hair a bit messy, clearly not planning to leave the house today. I could sense her embarrassment as she avoided making eye contact with me. Hey, what are you doing here? She asked, a hint of hurt in her voice. Oh, you didn't show up at school, so I wanted to check if you were okay, I replied. Yeah. I've been dealing with some personal issues and wanted some time alone. I just told my parents I wasn't feeling well, she explained. I could tell she wasn't being completely honest about her problems, but I chose to let it go for now. Oh. May I come in? I asked. Yeah, if you want, she said, moving aside to let me in. Once inside, she shut and locked the door, just like last time. She seemed a bit on edge, her expression revealing her distress rather than hiding it behind a smile. I brought you something to cheer you up and to say I'm sorry, I said. Apologize for what? If it's about the message, it's fine. I understand it was a mistake, she responded. But I really didn't mean it. I thought you might be upset, and once again, I chose my words poorly. I'm truly sorry. That's why I brought you some things, I explained, handing her the bags. She opened them, her eyes widening as she recognized the contents. Her face brightened a little as she looked at me. Deku, you got me mochi? And sweets? But mochi is expensive, you didn't have to do that, she exclaimed, surprised. I wanted to, Uraraka. The price doesn't matter to me, I just wanted to see you happy and feeling better. And no, I won't let you pay me back, I assured her. Deku. Thank you. This really made my day. I love the gift, she said, smiling. I'm glad I could help, I replied. She set the bags down on the coffee table and rushed over to me, wrapping her arms around me tightly. I smiled, returning the hug and almost chuckling as she had to tiptoe to reach me since I was taller. We held the embrace for about a minute before letting go, her cheeks slightly flushed. Want to stay for a bit? My parents won't be home until tonight, she asked. Yeah, I'd like that, I told her. She smiled again and walked off, probably to change into some real clothes while I settled onto the couch. I wanted to be there for her, to help her feel safe and to uncover what had been troubling her. Chapter end. Their plans fell into place. It was Tuesday, and Uraraka had returned to school. Our classmates had questioned her about her absence, but she simply said she wasn't feeling well. I decided to meet her at her house in the mornings to walk with her to school. Although she didn't know it, I was really there to protect her and keep an eye out for those two people who were after her, as I promised all might I would do. Right now, it was lunchtime, and I sat with Uraraka and Ida as I usually did. Uraraka seemed to be doing okay, likely because she was around a lot of people. I still didn't know the full story of what was happening, but eventually, with some digging, I would find a way to figure it out. Deku? You okay? You're staring off into space, Uraraka asked me. Yeah. Just thinking, I replied, taking a bite of my food. About what? She asked. Yeah, I'm curious too. You've been zoning out throughout the day. Everything all right? Ida added. Yeah, I'm all right. Just thinking about the big project coming up, I said, a good cover-up. Oh, same here. Coming up with combo moves with 2 or more classmates will be difficult. It's graded on looks, effectiveness, and overall use in battle, Ida stated. We should team up. I'm sure we can figure something out. Like Deku could use his moves on the ground, I could use my quirk to float the rocks from the ground he destroys, and you could kick them at the enemy. Uraraka suggested, pumping her fist. That's genius, Uraraka. It could work, that is, if you'd want to do that with us, Midoriya, Ida said. Yeah, that'd be fun. I'm down to team up with you guys, I replied. Great, we could meet up at my house later and discuss it, sound good? Ida asked. Actually, let's meet up at my place tonight. I'll have my mom make some snacks, I suggested. Yeah, we can do that. It'll be a pleasure to meet your mom too, Ida stated. Same. Uraraka responded. School went by normally, a bit boring at times. My mother agreed to let my friends come over to work on our project, a bit excited to meet them properly. Eventually, the final bell rang, and we were allowed to leave and go home. Ida and Uraraka decided to walk with me, which I didn't mind. Even with a group of 3, Uraraka still kept glancing around. I wasn't going to confront her, yet not until I had enough information. But I'd have to do some investigating for that. We all talked amongst ourselves, mostly about our classes, training, and projects. So, what's your mom like? Uraraka asked me. She's kind, honestly. Maybe a little too kind, I replied, shuddering. How so? Ida. If she offers to show you baby pictures. Please say no, I stated. Ida and Uraraka burst out laughing, and I nervously chuckled. I hoped they knew I wasn't kidding. After a bit, we made it to the apartments. We climbed the stairs to the 2nd floor where I lived and stopped at the door of my apartment. Taking a deep breath, I entered. Immediately, my mom came around the corner with snacks, excitedly asking about my new friends. She wanted to know everything about them, how long we had been friends, and so on. I finally ushered them off to my room when my mom started asking Uraraka if we were dating. That made us all blush heavily, and both Ida and my mom laughed at it. At least now they knew I wasn't lying. Wow, Midoriya, your room is very... Ida started. All might why? Yeah, I know, right? That's what I thought when I was here, Uraraka said, giggling. You sound like you've been here before, Uraraka, Ida remarked, raising an eyebrow. Uraraka immediately got flustered. Never been here before. First time definitely yep, she stuttered. Let's get working on the project.
Yeah.
We should storyboard the moves before practicing it, plus we need to somehow implement all the requirements into the move, I said, saving her from embarrassment.
Right.
Let's get to work, Ida stated. As Ida was writing down possible ways to factor in the requirements, Uraraka started to write down our report while I drew out the storyboard to see how it would work, if it would at all. We spent a while in silence, working on our parts, with my mom bringing snacks every now and then to give us space. Okay, for effectiveness, if it works, the rocks should fly close together in a straight line. If they scatter, then we'd get points off for being destructive, Ida stated. Yeah, that could work. And for use in battle, we have to make sure those rocks can fly at a good speed and hit their target, I added. That'll also help with style as it's clever and will look nice, Uraraka jumped in. We threw more ideas at each other, ruling out the ones that wouldn't make sense and adding in what did. After about 2 hours of working, we had made good progress. The project was due next week, so we had time. Would it be okay if I went and got some water? Uraraka asked. Yeah, no problem. Cups are in the cabinet above the sink, I informed her. She then got up and left, thanking me. I exited Deku's room, where we'd been working on our project, and headed to the kitchen to get water. I waved to Deku's mom, who was on the couch watching television. I grabbed a cup from the cabinet above the sink and filled it up. I decided to step outside instead of going back into the room to get some fresh air. I stepped out onto the second floor's walkway, leaning on the railing and looking at the sky. It was quiet and peaceful, the only sounds being a couple of cars and birds chirping. It was calming and I enjoyed it. I then made the mistake of looking down. There, across the parking lot, stood the man and woman. They stared back at me, not moving. My eyes widened and I started shaking. They were here for me. The man waved and flashed a sinister smile. Neither of us moved. I was starting to shake even more and panicked. They then began backing up, not breaking eye contact until they were out of sight. I dropped the glass cup, it shattering on the ground as I entered a full-blown panic. I collapsed against the wall by their door, tears pouring as Deku and his mom came rushing out, Ida right behind them. They saw how much I was shaking, crying, and struggling to breathe. Oh my God, Uraraka, are you okay? Deku exclaimed, crouching down beside me. It's okay, we're here, Uraraka. Just breathe, okay? He tried to reassure me. I'll contact her parents. We need to keep an eye on her, his mother said, worry etched on her face. Ida rushed in with her to help. Deku hugged me tightly, making soft shushing sounds to calm me down. I had never felt like this before. I felt dizzy and my vision blurred as I cried and gasped for air. He held me tighter, and I could hear the tremor in his voice. Please be okay, he whispered. Uraraka, please. Calm down, please. He truly cared about me. After a few minutes, I managed to calm down a little, and Deku didn't let go of me until my parents arrived. He gathered my belongings and helped me to my feet. As embarrassed as I felt, I knew there was no excuse that could cover this if anyone asked. I'm sorry for the cup. Mrs. Midoriya, I said to her. No, it's okay, Uraraka. I'm more worried about you, she replied. I'll make sure she gets home and rests. Thank you for contacting us, Inko, my mother said to Deku's mom, then turned to Deku. And thank you for helping her stay calm. Deku, right? Uraraka has said wonderful things about you, she added with a wink. Mom, I said, feeling shy. My real name is Izuku. No problem, I just hope she'll be okay. They chatted for a few more minutes until my parents and I got into the car. They questioned me, trying to figure out why it had happened, and I kept lying, saying it just occurred suddenly. I hated lying to my own parents, but it was to protect them. I needed to protect everyone. You think we broke her yet? Ishimori asked Akiko. Most definitely. I think it's almost time to put our plans into action, Akiko replied. Yes, the master will be pleased. With this girl's quirk, we can create total chaos, Ishimori stated. Yes. And to ensure our plans succeed, I'll be taking out that green-haired thorn in our side for good, Akiko said with a sinister smile, her nails glinting ominously. Their plans were finally falling into place. As soon as I got home, I dashed inside. I grabbed some of the mochi Deku had given me from the fridge and ran to my room, shutting and locking the door before my parents could ask me anything. I needed to calm down completely, and I needed my space. I looked at Deku's hoodie and grabbed it too, hugging it tightly before putting it on. For a while, I just sat on my bed, eating mochi while wearing Deku's hoodie, trying to calm myself down. His things always seemed to soothe me. I felt those feelings for him, but I was more afraid than anything. That man and woman were connected somehow, and they were going to come for me, and I couldn't even ask for help. I felt trapped. I started to cry again. I just wanted to live my life normally again, not being hunted, not knowing why they wanted me. I wanted to laugh, hang out with my friends, and do fun things again. But that felt like a distant dream now. My phone dinged a few times, and even though I didn't want to check it, I did. Izuku Midoriya 6:58 p.m. Uraraka? Izuku Midoriya 6:58 p.m. Are you okay? Izuku Midoriya 6:58 p.m. Please respond, I'm really worried. Ochako Uraraka 6:59 p.m. No, Deku. I'm not okay. Nothing is okay with me right now. Izuku Midoriya 6:59 p.m. Tell me how I can help, please. Let me know what's wrong. Ochako Uraraka 7 p.m. Your hoodie and mochi are helping me enough. And I'm fine. Nothing's wrong. Izuku Midoriya 7 p.m. You're lying to me, Uraraka. I hate when you do that. Izuku Midoriya 7:02 p.m. Uraraka? You there? Izuku Midoriya 7:05 p.m. Please respond, I'm getting worried. Izuku Midoriya 7:09 p.m. If you're okay and reading this, please come by after school tomorrow to my place. We need to talk. I didn't respond to him. I couldn't respond, and I definitely couldn't tell him what was wrong. If I couldn't tell anyone what was going on with me, then I would write it down. Digging through my side table, I pulled out my diary. I immediately started writing everything down, everything that happened, from that man somehow entering my room to them watching my every move. I felt some relief pouring everything into those pages, filling up 2 whole pages. After I left, Ida and Deku went back to pack up for the day. Neither of them felt like working on the project any longer. Not because they were upset with me, but because they were worried and felt that was more important right now. You have a good night, Ida. Sorry we had to cut our project short, I told him. It's no problem really. You should message her later to make sure she's okay, Ida suggested. I will. See you tomorrow. With that, we waved goodbye to each other, and he headed home. As I closed the door, I went straight to my room. I was feeling something again. That feeling. It was because I couldn't stop thinking about Uraraka. I had accepted that I liked her a lot and wanted to tell her how I felt. But I knew it couldn't happen now, our friendship mattered more. After a moment, I pulled out my phone and messaged her. Izuku Midoriya 6:58 p.m. Uraraka? Izuku Midoriya 6:58 p.m. Are you okay? Izuku Midoriya 6:58 p.m. Please respond, I'm really worried. We messaged for a bit until she stopped replying. It was probably because I asked what was wrong. I wished she would just tell me. All we knew was that she had encountered 2 people who might be villains. I sent one last message before putting my phone down, knowing she would read it but not respond. Izuku Midoriya 7:09 p.m. If you're okay and reading this, please come by after school tomorrow to my place. We need to talk. It was time for us to talk about what had been going on and how I felt. Master, it's almost time. We will have her and her quirk soon, Ishimori stated. Good, I'm very proud of you. I take it you and my daughter have made much progress. Your daughter? Wait. Ishimori said. That's right. Akiko is my dearest daughter. Where is she, anyway? She didn't come in with you. I've asked her to do something for me. She will be back soon, Ishimori informed his master. All right. I'm very impressed with your work. Expect your reward very soon. Thank you, master. Ida was walking home alone as the sun began to set. Unbeknownst to him, someone was following closely behind. He heard the footsteps and turned around, but saw no one. Still, he sensed he was not alone. Show yourself. Ida shouted. After a moment, a woman stepped out from the shadows. Very perceptive of you. Tenya Ida, was it? she asked, her red hair glinting in the fading light. Who are you? Are you a villain? Ida demanded, readying himself for a confrontation. The street was deserted. I don't give my name to victims, sorry. You can call me the wolf, though. And yes, I suppose I'm a bit of a troublemaker, she replied with a smirk. What do you want with me? I won't hesitate to stop you, Ida said, his heart racing. I'm just here to ensure you don't interfere with my plans. I won't have to hurt you unless you become a problem, she stated calmly. Before Ida could respond, the woman lunged at him with astonishing speed. He managed to evade a serious injury, but she grazed his arm with her sharp nails. He winced as he felt a trickle of warmth seep from the cut. The woman let out a chilling giggle before attacking again. Ida attempted to kick her away, but she caught his leg, her nails digging into his thigh, causing him to cry out and stumble. Both of them knew this would limit Ida's movements. She lunged again like a predator, but Ida rolled out of the way just in time. However, she quickly rebounded, her nails finding their mark in his side. He gasped in pain and fell to the ground, feeling the weight of his injuries. I expected more from a UA student. But I guess it's not your fault. I was trained to be an assassin, she taunted. Why, you monster? Ida started, clutching his wounds. You'll what? If you want to live, stay down. I have more important matters to attend to, so I'll make this quick, she replied, walking closer as he tried to crawl away. Ida pleaded, but she silenced him with a swift kick to the head. Ida fell unconscious, bleeding. The woman then pulled out an alarm clock, setting it for 30 seconds before walking away. When the time was up, the alarm rang, and someone from a nearby house heard it and rushed to the window. They immediately spotted Ida and hurried outside to help him. I finished my mochi and went to throw the trash away. Before that, I tossed my diary into my bag in case I needed to write something down later. I couldn't shake the feeling of dread that had settled over me. After disposing of my trash, I decided to try and sleep, even though it felt impossible. As expected, I lay there for 2 hours, unable to find rest. The stress and fear kept me awake. I received a notification on my phone and decided to check it, since I was doing nothing but lying there. It was a news article, and I nearly dropped my phone as I read the headline. Local UA student attacked. Local UA Hero Course student Tenya Ida was reported to have been attacked while making his way home from a friend's house this afternoon. Witnesses say they found him lying on the sidewalk but did not see the person who attacked him. The victim sustained several wounds, located on his thigh, side, and arm. I heard a ringing noise and decided to look outside. Thank goodness I did, stated a witness. Tenya was rushed to the hospital, and it remains unclear how severe his injuries are, but updates will be provided as more information is released. That's when I dropped my phone. My thoughts raced to those people, the man and the woman. No. I curled up and cried. Ida was hurt. And it was because of me, wasn't it? It was all my fault. All because I didn't tell anyone. Because I was too scared to warn my friends. Just like that, despair washed over me, and I sobbed into the night. Izuku? Izuku, it's late. Where are you going? My mom shouted, but I was already out the door. I dashed down the stairs of the complex and ran across the parking lot. I had just seen the news and was headed to the hospital. Please, Ida, please be okay. I could see the hospital up ahead, and even though I was tired and it was getting late, I kept running towards it. I needed to make sure my friend was all right, no matter how far I had to go. Finally, I reached the hospital and approached the front counter. Checking in or visiting? The receptionist asked. I'm here to visit Tenya Ida, I replied. Relation? She inquired, looking at me. I'm his friend from school, I stated. Sorry, only family members can visit right now, she said, waving me away. But I started before someone spoke behind me. Izuku, is that you? I heard a familiar voice. I turned to see Ida's parents. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Ida, I greeted. Are you here to see Ida? His mother asked. Yeah, but they won't let me since I'm not family, I explained. If we allow it, you should be able to. We just finished visiting ourselves. We wanted to stay longer, but we have to work tomorrow, she said. Now, let me see about you visiting him. She approached the receptionist and explained the situation. After a moment, the receptionist agreed to let me see Ida. I thanked his parents, who also offered me a ride home if I didn't take too long. I accepted their kind offer, and his mother told me his room number and floor before I headed toward the elevator. I rode up to the 4th floor and walked past the many hospital rooms until I reached room 147, Tenya Ida. I hesitated before entering, but mustered the courage to open the door. There Ida lay in bed, wearing only shorts. His arm, thigh, and side were bandaged, and he had an _4 and a mask on. He turned weakly toward me. Midoriya? He asked softly. Hey man. I came as quickly as I could. Running here felt like forever, I told him, moving to his side. But you have it tomorrow, Ida said, his voice barely above a whisper. This is more important, man. What happened to you? Who did this? I asked, feeling a lump in my throat. Red-haired villain. Calls herself the wolf, he managed to say. Red hair. Was it the woman in that video All Might showed me? You gonna be okay, man? I asked him. Yeah. I'm gonna live. Lost lots of B-blood. Weeks of recovery. But if recovery girl can get here tomorrow, it'll be cut down to a few days. Ida stated. I'm so sorry, Ida. This shouldn't have happened to you. I'm going to find the person who did this to you and stop them, I told him. No, you can't. Didn't kill me on purpose. She purposely missed my vital organs. Didn't want me in her way. She's after something. I don't know what. Could be you. I need to find out what it is they're after. I have to go now, sorry Ida. I'll visit as soon as I can though. And I'll let the class know their class rep will be back in action soon, I told him. He smiled. Thanks, Midoriya. And thanks for visiting, he said weakly. It hurt to hear his voice so fragile. I waved goodbye to him and exited the hospital room. I had to find out what these people wanted and why they hurt Ida. If they were targeting both Ida and Uraraka, they could be after me too. I needed to be careful for all of our sakes. Akiko, how'd the mission go? Ishimori asked. Successful. I was able to put her blue-haired friend out of commission for a while, she replied. What about the green-haired one? That is Izuku the kid, did you take care of him? Ishimori asked. I didn't take anyone out. And no, but he won't be a problem. He'll be too worried about his friend, Akiko replied. He isn't dangerous if he breaks bones as he did in that sports festival. You do have a point, although he could have mastered his quirk. Taking out the one kid was smart since he ranked 3rd as well in the festival. I think we go for the catch tomorrow. My father will be overjoyed to hear we got the girl in a few days instead of the weeks he expected, Akiko replied. Yes. We should make our move. Ever since I saw that Ochako Uraraka, I knew Master would love her quirk and want her in our liberation. He'll probably reward me more if I get her here sooner, Ishimori stated. Doubt it. I'm going to get some beauty sleep. I want to be ready for tomorrow. With that, Akiko left the room and Ishimori was by himself. Master, she will be yours. Her quirk will help you destroy and rebuild as you've wanted. I won't fail you. Ida's parents pulled up to the apartment complex, letting me out by the stairs that led up to the next floor. I waved goodbye to them and thanked them for everything before heading back to the apartment. It was extremely late and I knew my mom would be upset. Once I opened the door, I noticed she was sitting on the couch waiting for me. I began, but she cut me off. I was going to give you a lecture, but I saw the news about your friend. Still, it was dangerous to run out there, Izuku, she stated. I know, Ma. I went to check on Ida. Luckily he's fine, I told her. That's a relief, honey. It's hard to think he was here hours ago, perfectly fine. I know it's a terrible incident, but you need sleep, Izuku. You have school tomorrow, my mother replied. I know, heading to bed now. Night, Mum, I told her. Night, son. I went to my room and got ready for bed. Before I actually climbed into bed, though, I checked my phone and realized I got a message. From Uraraka. Ochako Uraraka 9:03 p.m. It was all my fault. I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize she messaged me, and the message was over an hour old. I had no idea what it meant, but it gave me chills. I thought about calling or messaging her but decided not to. She was probably sleeping so she could get up for school tomorrow. The best course of action for me was to sleep and figure all this out in the morning. I spent so much time feeling overwhelmed that I ran out of tears, and now I just sat on my bed in a depressed state. I didn't want to sleep. I didn't want to do anything anymore. Wanted this pain to end. Somehow, my world was crumbling around me and I couldn't do anything to help myself or the people around me. I wanted to ease my pain. It was a dark thought, but it was true. I wanted to harm myself. Even if it helped me feel relieved for a short bit, I wanted to. I couldn't keep going on like this. I snuck into the kitchen, grabbing a kitchen knife and heading to the bathroom. I locked the door behind me and pulled out my phone, sending Deku a text. Ochako Uraraka 9:03 p.m. It was all my fault. I'm so sorry. I sat my phone down and placed the knife to my wrist. I needed to do it to feel better. Holding my breath, the knife touched my wrist. I'd feel better soon. Counting to 3, I slid the knife across my wrist. I winced in pain, feeling a sting. It wasn't too deep, so it wouldn't bleed too much. I grabbed a towel and held it to my wrist as I began to cry again. I felt weak. I wanted to be a hero, and I felt weak. I removed the towel and readied the knife again, preparing to add another mark to make myself feel better. But as I placed the knife to my wrist again, someone knocked on the door. Ochako? You in there? I have to use the restroom, my mom said through the door. Why yeah, give me a second, I said back. I threw the towel in the hamper and hid my wrist and the knife behind my back as I opened the door. Thanks, sweetie. I really have to, my mom said, before pausing and looking at the sink. I had forgotten to clean up a couple of drops. Ochako, were you bleeding or what are you hiding behind your back? My mom asked. Nothing, Mom, Knight, I said, pushing past her. She then grabbed my wrist, causing me to yelp and taking the knife away from me, looking at my wrist. Oh, Ochako, my mom said in shock. Are you hurting yourself? I didn't answer her. I just looked down at my feet as she held out my arm. She didn't do anything for a minute or so before she hugged me tightly and began to sob. I cried back, hugging her tightly. Why, Ochako? Why? My mother cried. I had harmed myself, and here I was, with my mom crying on the bathroom floor. It made me feel even worse knowing she would blame herself, that I had let everyone down. In truth, I was the one who had failed them all. Ida was injured because of my actions, and my parents were in jeopardy. And Deku, the boy I care about deeply. I had failed him. He wanted to support me, but I pushed him away. Now I have to face this challenge alone. After I visit him tomorrow. 24. The next day, I arrived at school, feeling anxious about both of my friends. My concerns were validated when I discovered that Ochako was also absent. Whispers and theories circulated in homeroom about the connection between their disappearances. I reassured everyone that Ida was recovering in the hospital and would eventually return to school, just as I had promised him. It's unbelievable that someone would target him like that, Todoroki remarked as we sat together at lunch. Not just that. She deliberately avoided hitting any vital organs. It was clear she wasn't trying to kill him, I replied. We can only hope he recovers quickly. Uraraka. Aizawa was not pleased that she missed another day, he said. I'm hoping to check on Uraraka today. I really hope she's okay, I said. We continued our conversation until the bell rang, signaling the end of lunch and the start of our next class, English with present mic. However, I found it hard to concentrate. My friends were suffering and I felt helpless. Fortunately, halfway through the PRD, I was called to see All Might in the teacher's lounge. I suspected it was about the woman who attacked Ida. There was a strong possibility she was the same one from the video stalking Uraraka. I couldn't shake the feeling that she could strike again at any moment. I left class and made my way to the teacher's lounge. Although I didn't have many updates, I knew that every piece of information mattered. All Might was there, sipping coffee and waiting for me. All Might, you wanted to see me? I asked, taking a seat across from him. Yes. As you know, your friend Tenya Ida was attacked last night. Have you learned anything about the incident? He inquired. Yes. I visited Ida, and he told me the attacker was a girl with red hair. She didn't aim to kill him, she intentionally missed his vital organs, I explained. Interesting. Did you get any names? He asked. She goes by the Wolf, according to Ida. I'm still trying to piece everything together, but I believe she's the girl from that video, I said. I suspected as much. We don't know her intentions or what she plans to do next. If you could, please check on young Uraraka. Make sure her absence today isn't serious. Of course. I was planning to do that anyway, I replied before standing up. I'll keep you updated on the situation. Thank you, young Midoriya. Your help is invaluable in this case. With that, I returned to my class. Are you ready for today, partner? Akiko asked. Yes. I informed Master, and he's pleased with our progress. Father always appreciated quick work. It's why he values my efforts, Akiko stated. Then let's prepare to make him even prouder, Ishimori said. And let's do it swiftly. We're both at risk here. You're the one at risk, you know. If you don't succeed with this girl, you'll face the consequences. He wouldn't harm his own daughter, Akiko replied. I wouldn't be too sure. We both know the boss will do whatever it takes to get what he wants, even if it means sacrificing people like us. The only reason he hasn't dealt with me for my past mistakes is because of my quirk, Ishimori said. He wouldn't hurt me. Father has a rough way of showing his love, but he does care about me, Akiko insisted. If that makes you feel better. Now, I want my reward, so unless you want to forfeit it, I suggest you get ready. Ishimori left the room, leaving Akiko alone in the dimly lit space, filled with a mix of anger and unexpected desire. She always found herself drawn to those who could provoke such strong emotions in her. No, Ochako. You're not leaving this house, and I won't change my mind, my mom said firmly. Mom, please. I need to, I tried to protest. I said no. You're staying in this room where it's safe, she insisted before shutting the door. I could hear the hurt in her voice. My mom had locked me in my room, worried for my safety after discovering my self-harm. I understood her concern, and while I couldn't deny that it brought me some relief, I needed to escape. I had to see Deku. My plan was to lock my bedroom door and sneak out through the window. So, I did just that. I opened my window and climbed out, taking my bag with me. I slipped past the windows and began running down the sidewalk, discarding the gauze from my arm. I didn't want to draw attention to my injuries just yet. It was around 5, and I knew Deku would be home by now. To my surprise, I spotted him coming my way. We both paused for a moment before I made my way over to him. Hey, Deku! I called out, forcing a cheerful tone. Uraraka, hey. I'm glad to see you're okay. You weren't responding to my messages, and you skipped school again, he said, concern evident in his voice. Sorry. Could we talk about that at your house, please? I asked, feeling uneasy. Yeah, of course. I have some things I want to discuss too, he replied. We walked toward his apartment, my mind racing with thoughts of what he wanted to say. I made sure to keep my cut hidden, and overall, he seemed unaware of anything being off with me. But with my lack of sleep and newfound struggles, I was far from okay. When we arrived at his home, his mom greeted us, and we decided to hang out in his room. I set my bag down on his chair, and we sat in an awkward silence, neither of us knowing what to say. I kept my injured wrist tucked inside Deku's hoodie, hoping he wouldn't notice. I would only reveal it if he asked. You mentioned wanting to talk about your absence from school and not responding to my messages? I prompted Uraraka. Why? I did something bad, she admitted, her voice trembling. What was it? I asked, feeling a knot of anxiety form in my stomach. I don't know if I should show you. I don't know what you'd think of me after, she said, curling up with her knees drawn to her chest. Uraraka, you can tell me. I would never judge you. I care about you and want to be here for you, I reassured her. Okay. She fell silent for a moment before hesitantly pulling her hand away from her hoodie. When she revealed her wrist, my heart sank. She had hurt herself. Tears streamed down her face, and I quickly wrapped my arms around her in a comforting hug. I couldn't take it anymore, Deku. After Ida was hurt, I couldn't stop blaming myself for it. She sobbed into my shoulder. I gently stroked her hair, trying to soothe her. Ochako. It wasn't your fault. But I need to ask you about that villain. The one who attacked him. She looked at me in shock. Until now, she thought I knew nothing about what had happened. But I did. I have no idea what you're talking about, she stammered, her voice trembling. Yes, you do. I know about the two people involved. But I need to know more so I can help you, I insisted. And no, I told you I don't know what you're talking about. Uraraka, this is serious. Our friend is in the hospital right now. These people keep bothering you. You need to tell me what you know. All Might showed me videos people recorded. I know you lied to me about the coffee shop. I know you're not being honest about the red-haired woman, I pressed. How? What? She struggled to respond. That red-haired girl attacked Ida. She said she didn't want him getting in her way. You're hurting yourself because you feel you can't tell anyone, right? Please, just tell me so I can help. I pleaded. And no, I think I need to go. Coming here was a mistake. Everything will be okay, so don't worry, she said, her voice shaky and filled with fear. No, Uraraka. You need to tell me. You said you wouldn't lie to me, and that's all you've been doing. You said we were best friends and would share everything. So please, tell me who these people are and what they want. I urged. I said no, she shouted, tears streaming down her face as she pushed me away. I said no. I yelled back, and before I could think, I pushed him. He stumbled back and accidentally tripped over his computer chair. I gasped as he fell, hitting his head on the desk. He cried out in pain, clutching his head. I stood frozen, unsure of what to do as he lay there. Deku, I didn't mean, I started to say. Don't say anything. I think you should leave, he replied, still in pain and holding his head. I froze at those words. I had just made a huge mistake. I burst into tears, taking off his hoodie and tossing it onto the bed before running out of the room. Deku's mom called my name in confusion, but I didn't stop as I sprinted out of there and across the parking lot. I just wanted to go home and find a way to feel better. I had just hurt the boy I loved. All because I didn't let him help me. Because I didn't tell him what was going on. All he wanted was answers, and I had snapped. Tears blurred my vision, but I didn't care. As much as I was hurting inside, I thought that going home would make everything feel better. That was until a pair of hands grabbed me from an alleyway. I screamed, but the gloved hand quickly covered my mouth to silence me. After I stopped struggling, he threw me into the alley. I hit the ground hard and rolled. Looking up, I saw my attackers. My heart raced as I recognized the two familiar, sinister smiles glaring down at me. I trembled, wanting to run but frozen in fear. It was him and the woman again. Finally, Ochako Uraraka. We finally have you. My master has been waiting for your arrival. Leave me alone. What do you want with me? I stuttered. They laughed. We want nothing with you, dear. It's what our master wants you for, the woman replied. Please. Let me go. I beg of you. I pleaded, tears streaming down my face. Sorry, kid. We're just doing our job. Besides, it doesn't matter what you want. Master always gets what he wants, and he wants you. Doctor, do your thing, the woman instructed. With pleasure, the man said. I wanted to move, but fear and panic held me in place. They were going to take me, and I felt helpless. He reached out a finger, about to touch me, but... Hey, get away from her, a familiar voice shouted. I turned to see Deku standing there, ready to fight. Well, look who decided to show up, Ishimori remarked. Uraraka ran out of my room in tears, tossing my hoodie onto the bed. I immediately regretted what I had said. She had been through so much, and I had put too much pressure on her. I had made the girl I liked cry, and now I needed to find her and make things right. My mom called my name as I dashed out of the house. She couldn't have gone far. Needed to run fast and catch up to her. As I reached the sidewalk, I sprinted toward her home, hoping that was where she was headed. I heard voices coming from an alley up ahead. Could she have been dragged in there? My question was answered when I saw two figures looming over Uraraka, one finger extended toward her. Hey, get away from her! I yelled, catching their attention. Well, look who decided to show up, the man said. Just run. Uraraka pleaded, tears in her eyes. No, I won't. Just hang in there, Uraraka. I'll get us out of this. I assured her. You sound confident for someone who used to break bones using his quirk, the woman taunted. But confidence won't save her. Deku, please just, Uraraka tried to speak. Shut it. Master wants you in good condition, but that doesn't mean I can't hurt you in the process, the man said with a sinister laugh. He then reached out to touch her and she panicked, collapsing to the ground. Uraraka! I shouted. Oh, don't worry. I only paralyzed her. One snap of my fingers and she'll be fine. But we can't promise you will be if you try to fight us, the man said. I won't let you take her. You'll have to take me down first. I yelled. Then so be it, the woman replied, charging at me. Her nails elongated as she swiped at me, but I barely managed to dodge. The man lunged at me as well, and I evaded his attack, not wanting to discover the full extent of his quirk. You're good at dodging, I'll give you that. But you won't beat us. That girl is ours, the man declared. Deku, please go. Ochako cried, remaining still. You should listen to her before things get ugly, the woman warned. No. I promised I would protect her and I will. I shouted defiantly. Sorry, but you'll have to break your promise, the woman said, moving faster this time. I dodged one of her swipes, but her other hand grazed my arm, leaving a sting. I gritted my teeth, trying to focus. The woman laughed, distracting me as the man closed in. I managed to kick him in the stomach, pushing him back. The woman lunged at me again, but I rolled out of the way just in time. They were clearly growing more agitated. If only I could hold them off until help arrived. Both of them charged at me simultaneously. I dodged the woman's claws, but the man managed to touch me with his thumb, and I felt something coursing through my body. The woman clapped, but I took the opportunity to unleash a punch at her, sending her flying back past Uraraka. The man then picked Uraraka up by her shirt collar, hovering his hand ominously over her head. Enough. I touched you with my thumb, which means poison is now in your system. If you don't get to a hospital soon, you won't survive. So what will it be? He asked. Stop you, I said, feeling the poison take hold. But I wasn't defeated yet. I charged up my power again. I wouldn't attack me if I were you. Each of my fingers has a serum that can seriously affect my opponent. If all 5 of my fingers touch someone, they'll be gone almost instantly. You don't want me to kill this girl, do you? He warned. The woman recovered and stood beside him. Uraraka tried to say, but the woman pressed her nails to Uraraka's neck. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to back away slowly with little Uraraka here. You're going to seek medical help before you succumb to the poison. We don't fancy killing you, seeing as we have our prized possession, the man stated. Let her go. I managed to say. Wow, still wanting to fight even with that poison in your system? Come on, try to come closer. You'll be putting your little girlfriend in danger, the man taunted. I felt the poison spreading, but I had to act. They had her my best friend, my teammate, the girl I cared for deeply. They slowly backed away, holding Uraraka, who was sobbing. I saw their sinister smiles, but I barely had the strength to move. The poison was taking over. Deku. Uraraka whispered in her paralyzed state. I'll be okay. Just like that, they disappeared around a corner, out of sight, while the poison overwhelmed me. I could move, but barely. They had taken her. They kidnapped Uraraka. And I was too weak to stop them. I cried, knowing I couldn't fight them like this. They had won. I finally reached the sidewalk and collapsed. Luckily, a passerby saw me and rushed over, shouting something I couldn't comprehend as I succumbed to the poison. I'm so sorry. Uraraka. Master, we've finally done it. We've brought the girl as you wished. Ishimori announced proudly, tossing Uraraka to the floor and snapping his fingers. Ah, good work, Ishimori and Akiko. I am very pleased. And you must be the fated zero-gravity quirk user, Ochako Uraraka. Am I correct? Uraraka stared in fear at the man called Master, trembling and terrified for her life. Please let me go. Uraraka pleaded, her voice quivering. Do that. You see, you'd be very helpful in our cause. He never join you. As someone will see come find me. Uraraka said, tears streaming down her face. I don't think anyone is coming, sweetheart. Definitely not that green-haired hero. By now, he should be incapacitated by the poison if he hasn't sought medical treatment, Akiko remarked. This revelation crushed Uraraka, and she began to cry harder in the center of the three villains. The fear for her life overwhelmed her, and the thought of Deku possibly being gone hurt her deeply. Now, Ochako Uraraka. Or should I call you by your new villain name, Defy? Fun name, very clever, isn't it? I came up with it myself. I won't join you, she cried, slumped over on her knees, paralyzed by fear. The master stepped even closer. Please stay away, she begged, tears pouring down her cheeks. Sorry, Ochako Uraraka. You don't seem to have a choice in joining us, the master said. Now look at me. Ochako fearfully looked up, her eyes widening as the man placed his palm on her forehead. Welcome to us. She was alone and scared. Honey, I'm home. I called out as I entered my house. Oh, welcome home, hun. How was your day at work? Ochako greeted me, emerging from the kitchen. She had long, beautiful brown hair now. It went okay. Another hostage situation, but besides that, it wasn't too bad, I replied. She wrapped her arms around my waist. Guess what I'm making for dinner, she said with a smile. I'm going to guess. Pork cutlet bowl? Mochi for dessert, I responded. You got it. It'll be done soon, she beamed, giving me a quick kiss. I took off my coat and hung it on the rack. Before you do anything, hun, could you answer a question for me? Ochako asked. Of course, what is it? I replied. Why did you let them take me? I turned around, but she wasn't the older Ochako anymore. She looked like she did back in our first year at UA, but she had cuts and bruises all over her, looking beaten. Why did you let them take me? Uraraka, I tried to protect you. I told her. I needed your help, Izuku. Why didn't you save me? I tried, Uraraka. I wanted to protect you. You were weak, and now I'm gone because of you. I'm alone and scared, and you couldn't do anything to save me. I'll find you, Ochako. I won't stop until I do. I promise. It's too late, Deku. They have me, and you'll never see me again. The home vanished, and we stood in darkness as she turned and began to walk away. I ran after her, trying to catch up, but with every step I took, she seemed to get farther away. I collapsed, staring at her as she turned back to me, a sad expression on her face as she began to fade away into dust. I jolted awake in the hospital room, feeling water drip down my face, tears. I had been crying in my sleep. It had been 4 days since Uraraka was kidnapped, and the last 2 days I had been awake, plagued by nightmares. Each one ended the same way, her blaming me for her disappearance and then vanishing. Apparently, I was lucky to be alive, thanks to a bystander who had seen me collapse that night. Fortunately, the poison was easily treatable and hadn't affected my brain. Otherwise, survival would have been a miracle. I had to stay in the hospital for ongoing treatment, and I hadn't slept much in the past few days. The weight of depression kept me awake. Every single day I lay in that bed, I blamed myself for her kidnapping. I wasn't strong enough to save her, and I couldn't hold them off. She was gone because of me. She needed me, and I failed her. It wasn't like I could even go save her. All Might and his police friend had been searching for clues about where the man and woman might be hiding. There was a knock at my hospital door. Come in, I said. Ida entered, still recovering from his injuries, in a room a few doors down. He walked with a crutch, his arm, thigh, and side wrapped. Ida had been visiting me regularly, checking on my well-being, likely making sure I was still mentally stable. Hey, Midoriya. How are you? He asked. The same as earlier when you asked. Full of regret and feeling useless, I replied. Listen, man. I'm your friend, and I know this whole situation is hard on you. It's hard on me too. But Uraraka would want you to keep going and smile, Ida stated. I know, Ida. But it was still my fault. She's gone because I didn't fight hard enough. Uraraka's parents reported her missing the night she was kidnapped when they discovered she had sneaked out and never returned. Many people searched for her but found nothing. When I woke up after succumbing to the poison, I was questioned by the police and told them everything I knew. As of now, there had been no leads. Just leave it in the hands of the professionals. Even All Might is on the case. I'm sure they'll find something soon, Ida reassured me. That doesn't change the fact that I let them get away. They took her Ida. She could be scared or hurt right now. If something bad happens to her, I'll have to live with that for the rest of my life. Midoriya, she's strong. I'm sure she knows you did all you could. We need to have faith in her, Ida said. I know. It's just, the last thing I said to her was that I thought she should leave, and it hurt her a lot, which caused her to run away. Because of that, she got captured. So whatever you say, Ida, you can't convince me it wasn't my fault. We just need to stay positive for her sake, Ida insisted. Midoriya, All Might is here to see you when you're ready, a nurse said, popping her head into the door. Yeah, send him in, I replied. Ida took that as a cue to leave, and we exchanged our goodbyes as All Might entered the room in his muscular form. Behind him was his friend from the police force, which eased my mind a bit. It possibly meant they had found some clues. As soon as the door shut, All Might returned to his actual form. Young Midoriya, we've come here because we think we might have a lead in the case, he began. Really? What do you have? I asked eagerly. His friend pulled out a file and opened it. One of my deputies was on a scouting mission near some old warehouses by the pier. He noticed some suspicious activity and took some pictures, the man explained, pulling out a few images. We're asking you if you recognize the person in these photos, All Might said. He looked like someone you described, but we want to confirm. They placed the photos on the hospital bed. Taken from a distance but zoomed in, one showed a man by an old factory door, glancing over his shoulder as if to ensure no one was watching. The man was the one from the alley last night. The one who had poisoned me. That's him. He was the one who did this to me, I stated firmly. We suspected as much. We did some digging and found out about him. His real name is Ishimori, but he goes by Plague Doctor. When he was 7, he accidentally caused his mother's death using his quirk, and his father disowned him. His mother was a healer who could treat certain diseases based on which finger she used. His father's quirk is unknown, as he disappeared long ago. It turns out their quirks mutated, giving him a quirk that has different serums with each finger, but we can only identify poison and paralysis based on your description, his friend explained. We plan to conduct a raid in a few days. We would do it sooner, but we need all hands on deck and not just a search warrant but a solid strategy, All Might informed me. We want to bring young Uraraka back safely. That's good. When are we going to do this? I want to get her back, I insisted. You won't be part of this, young Midoriya, All Might stated firmly. I locked eyes with him. Yes, I am. I'm the reason she got captured, and I'll be the reason she gets saved, I replied with determination. I'm sorry, kid. You don't have your hero license yet. Besides, you're still recovering. It would be unwise for you to leave the hospital only to end up back in it, All Might's friend explained. I don't care. I need to fight and get her back, I insisted. You won't be part of this, and that's final, young Midoriya. You almost lost your life because of that villain. I'm telling you. Again, it's too dangerous for you. We'll handle it, All Might reiterated, transforming back into his muscular form. I know it's hard for you. I know you want to rescue her more than anyone else. But the best thing you can do for her right now is to focus on getting better for when we rescue her. With that, both All Might and his police friend left. I then pulled out the picture I had snuck under the covers, the one of the man by the factory. I knew where he was now. I knew where they were hiding. Now I just had to sneak out of here and find her. That night I did just that. I unhooked my 4 and grabbed a white t-shirt, basketball shorts, and my shoes from the drawer in my room before quietly making my way out. This time, Uraraka. This time I'll save you. I promise. Ochako Uraraka. Or should I say, Defy? I brought you something. It's your new costume. I hope you like it. Besides, you are one of us now, so you deserve it. I can already tell you're going to fit in well when we carry out our liberation. We're very excited to have you here after all. Now rest up, we have some big projects coming up for you so you can make your debut. The one they called the Master walked away, leaving the costume behind. A hand reached out and grabbed the costume, pulling it into the darkness. Something big was coming, and it was coming soon. I ran down the sidewalk, heading in a specific direction. It had been an hour since I left the hospital undetected, and I figured I had some time before they realized I had escaped. All Might and everyone else would be furious, but I didn't care. Her freedom was worth more than anything to me. All I had to do was get there and infiltrate the warehouse. The streets were empty at this hour, illuminated only by the streetlights on either side. I didn't expect to see anyone I knew on my way, but you could never be too cautious. Being spotted would mean serious consequences after all. I wasn't heading to the pier just yet, I was meeting someone who would be very helpful in this rescue. I had to admit, I was nervous and scared, but I pushed those thoughts aside, focusing on the figure in front of me, standing under a streetlight and looking eager and impatient. "So you finally show up, you nerd," Kaken said, glaring at me. "Sorry, it's a long walk from the hospital," I replied. Hours before, I needed a plan. I knew I couldn't face those two villains alone again, especially with that one man and his dangerous quirk. If he ended up using it on me again, I wouldn't stand a chance. But if I could find a way to distract them long enough to get Uraraka, it might work. Just a quick in and out mission. But how would I distract them? Then it hit me. I grabbed my phone from the side table. "ɪᴢᴜᴏᴄ 8:38 p.m. I need your help. Katsuki Bakugo 8:40 p.m. I told you to never message me, nerd. ɪᴢᴜᴜᴄ 8:40 p.m. Before you block me, hear me out. What if I told you that you could fight some really strong villains? Katsuki Bakugo 8:41 p.m. Whatever, I'm listening. ɪᴢᴜᴜᴄ 8:43 p.m. I'm going after Uraraka. I know where the villains took her, but they're too strong. If you'd help, we might have a fighting chance. They're the kind of villains you'd love to take down." Katsuki Bakugo 8:43 p.m. Okay, and? What's in it for me exactly? ɪᴢᴜᴜᴄ 8:44 p.m. I'll fight you. One-on-one, no strings attached. Katsuki Bakugo 8:44 p.m. Do you actually think we'd have a chance, nerd? ɪᴢᴜᴜᴄ 8:44 p.m. Yes. Katsuki Bakugo 8:45 p.m. Then I'm in, but I'm bringing Kirishima too. We've been looking to take down some bad guys. So what's the plan, nerd? It better be good, Kaken said to me. One can use poison and paralysis, and the other has nails that can grow to the size of daggers, I explained. Okay, and? Spit it out. Kaken demanded. You can handle the one with the dagger nails. Kirishima can harden like a rock, so I'm hoping he can deal with the other guy. I don't know how that would work. Where is Kirishima anyway? Waiting at my house. Why does it even matter? I just want to beat these guys down, Kaken told me. I'm not doing this for that round-faced girl either. I'm doing this because I was promised a fight with you. Don't you ever call her a loser again, got it? I don't care why you're here. If you don't want to help, then don't waste my time, I responded. He glared at me, not in a menacing way, but I could tell he didn't expect my tone to change. I didn't either. Let's get moving. We're wasting time just standing here. If we're going to save her, we need to stay focused, Kaken said before starting to walk. It surprised me. He didn't retaliate or start an argument. He genuinely responded. Even under that tough exterior, I knew he wanted to save her too, not because he cared about her, but because she was in distress and he wanted to be a hero. We walked for a few minutes in silence. It was probably for the best. I knew he didn't like me at all. But even after he bullied me most of my life, I still looked up to him. He could be difficult, but he had the heart and drive to be a hero, and that was respectable. We finally arrived at his house, where Kirishima was waiting. Hey, you could have waited for me to get here before you took off, Kirishima said to Kaken. Shitty hair. Kaken yelled at him. Kirishima then noticed me. Oh, hey Bakugo, welcome back, he corrected, blushing. It's okay, I knew you two were together. No big surprise, I stated. Shut the hell up, nerd. You tell anyone and you're done for, got it? He yelled. It wasn't a secret to me that Kaken and Kirishima were together. It was just ridiculous that nobody else knew. I'd probably get hit later for knowing anyway. That's beside the point. Explain the plan and we'll head out, got it? Kirishima said. I'll tell you on the way. We can't waste time, I explained. Then lead the way, why don't you? Kaken demanded. We started on our way to the pier, which I knew the location of. Along the way, I filled Kirishima in on the plan. They would sneak in through a back entrance while I went in through the front. That way, they could surprise the villains while I looked for Uraraka. They agreed to this plan, with Kirishima saying he could likely withstand their quirks a bit using his hardening ability. Kaken kept reminding me he wanted the credit and that I owed him a fight after all this. It was only fair since I was asking for his help. Although I doubted this plan. We didn't know how many villains were there, and we definitely couldn't take on multiple. But I knew I had to do this tonight. It took about 45 minutes, but we arrived and hid in an alleyway nearby. You sure this is the place? Kirishima asked. Yeah, it's the same as in this picture. Now, are you sure you want to help me with this? I asked them. We wouldn't be here if we didn't, would we? Now let's move, he whispered urgently. They split off from me, looking for a back exit while I used the cover of night to sneak closer. The warehouse was huge, which made me even more nervous about the whole thing, as it could mean a lot of villains inside. I planned to make a grand entrance, ensuring all eyes were on me. I charged up a small amount of energy and punched the door open with a forceful swing. The lights were off, and visibility was poor. I swallowed my doubts and stepped into the darkness, remaining alert. Even though I wasn't fully recovered, I was ready to fight if necessary. The only sound was my footsteps echoing in the emptiness, which felt unsettling. Suddenly, the lights flickered on, and a door swung open. Moments later, a man stepped into view. Ah, it seems we have a visitor. None other than the one and only Izuku Midoriya. Tell me, what brings you here this night? Bakugo and Kirishima jumped over a gate that led to a large backyard connected to the warehouse. The area was dim, but they spotted a door on the building. I hope he wasn't mistaken about this. That nerd might be getting ahead of himself, Bakugo muttered. Relax, you're too tense. We need to stay calm to handle these guys, Kirishima replied, giving Bakugo a quick, reassuring kiss. Fine, Bakugo conceded. Suddenly, they heard quick footsteps around them, and the lights inside and outside flickered on, prompting them to take fighting stances. The area was now illuminated, revealing two figures, a man and a woman. Hello there. We've been expecting you, the woman said, her nails elongating. My name is the Wolf, and I intend to end this. And I go by the Doctor. We won't let pesky kids interfere with our master's plans. We have cameras and sensors around, so we knew you were coming. Any last words? The man asked. I should be asking you that. Time to face the consequences. Bakugo shouted, sparks igniting in his hands. Let's send these villains back to where they belong, Kirishima said with a confident smirk. It's your funeral, the woman replied, charging at them. And so, their battle commenced. Earlier at the hospital, Ida walked down the corridors, heading to visit his friend one last time before his release the following day. As he approached the room, a nurse rushed out and spoke urgently to another nurse in the hallway. Hasuda, what's going on? The first nurse asked. It's Midoriya, our patient. He's not in his room, the second nurse exclaimed. What? The first nurse replied, dashing inside. Ida understood immediately what had happened. Izuku had gone after the villains. The nurse emerged from the hospital room, visibly anxious. Go to the front desk and call his mom. I'll contact the police station, one nurse instructed, her voice trembling. Ida stood in the hallway, feeling a sense of dread. One thought consumed him. Midoriya, what are you doing? Where is Uraraka? I shouted at the man on the elevated platform. He had gray hair and a beard, exuding a strong presence. Oh, you mean my newest recruit? She goes by Defy now. She's quite fond of that name, the man replied. That's not true. I'm not leaving without her. I know she's here, so hand her over. I yelled, getting into a defensive stance. She is indeed here. Defy, dear, come on out. Someone is eager to see you, the man said, snapping his fingers. I heard footsteps approaching from behind him. I braced myself for whatever trap might be waiting, but my heart raced when I saw her. She wore a version of her hero costume, black and white, without a mask. She looked just like herself, but instead of fear, she wore a smile. Upon seeing me, her face lit up with joy. "Defy, please welcome our guest," the man instructed, snapping his fingers once more. "Izuocha, it's been a while, hasn't it?" she exclaimed, her excitement palpable. She was somewhere in there. There she was. Uraraka, the girl I had loved, stood before me. But her eyes were dull and lifeless, and her smile was unsettling, a stark contrast to her usual cheerful demeanor. This was her, yet it wasn't the Uraraka I once knew. "What have you done to her?" I shouted at the man standing beside her. "I doubt you'll believe me if I say she joined willingly, so I'll tell you the truth. My quirk is quite fascinating. It allows me to control someone, almost like brainwashing. You see, Uraraka here is now my personal pet," he explained. "Let her go, or you'll regret ever taking her." I threatened. That's where my quirk becomes complicated. I can't just release her. The only way to free someone is by inflicting a significant amount of damage to knock them out of it. But that's risky, as they don't retain their abilities while under my control. "A strong enough blow could potentially be fatal," he said with a sinister chuckle. "You monster." She was a kind, innocent girl with dreams. Why take that away from her? I shouted, my voice filled with anguish. Because I saw potential in her. She has a new life and purpose now. Just imagine the chaos her quirk can unleash. It's quite unique, wouldn't you agree, Defy? "What do you enjoy?" he asked her. "I enjoy seeing the fear in people's faces, master. It brings me joy." "Oh, Izuku, I wish you could feel how happy I am right now," she exclaimed. "Uraraka, this isn't you. He's controlling you." I shouted desperately. Now, Izuku Midoriya. I don't appreciate you speaking to my precious prize like that." "Defy, sweetheart, could you do me a favor?" he asked Uraraka. "Of course, master. Anything for you," she replied. "Why don't you take care of little Izuku here? I'm sure he'd love a fight with his best friend," he suggested. "Yes, master," Uraraka responded, pulling out a long knife from a sheath at her side. "With that, I'll take my leave. I expect you to win this and return to me, Defy. If not, there will be consequences." The man vanished through the doors, closing them behind him as Uraraka accepted his command. The lights suddenly went out, leaving only dim backup lights to illuminate the area. Uraraka slowly approached me. "Uraraka, please listen to me. I don't want to hurt you," I began, but she interrupted me with a swing of her knife. "Oh, Izuku, I missed you so much. I can't wait to make you feel pain," she exclaimed, swinging the knife again. "Please, Uraraka. I know you're in there. I just need to free you without hurting you," I pleaded. She swung the knife, and I jumped back just in time, narrowly avoiding her strike. There was no way I could hurt her. I couldn't. My best option was to hide and come up with a plan. I ducked behind a machine, maneuvering around the cluttered space before finding a hiding spot in the corner. "Oh, Izuku. You know I don't like playing games. Come out so we can be together again," Uraraka called out. I stayed quiet, thinking, "Come on out, Izuku. I want to see your pretty face before I make it all messy." I heard her footsteps moving around, stabbing boxes to check for me. There had to be a way to bring her back without seriously injuring her. I just needed time to think, trying to keep my emotions in check. It was overwhelming. The girl I had feelings for was now trying to harm me. Suddenly, the footsteps stopped. My instinct told me to look up, and when I did, she was perched on a machine. I dove away as she brought the knife down, grazing my calf as I tried to escape, causing me to yelp in pain. She jumped down, and I quickly got to my feet, limping away and leaving a trail behind me. "You're leaving a trail, Izuku. It'll be much easier to find you now," she squealed in the dark, her excitement palpable. "Just hang in there, Uraraka. I'll free you from this." I shouted, which only earned a giggle from her. "But Izuku, I thought you wanted me to be happy?" I'm happy now and you want me to change? She asked. That's because this isn't you. I shouted back. She lunged from a corner, swinging the knife and slicing a small cut on my arm. I realized she was trying to figure out my location, so I kept quiet and ran, disappearing from her sight again. I needed to think of something quickly, or I would be in serious trouble. Maybe she would remember old memories. I crouched down behind a machine as I heard her walk past me. She hummed, making the situation feel even more eerie. I wondered how Kaken and Kirishima were faring and why they weren't here yet. I assumed they were dealing with their own challenges. There you are, Izuku. I heard her squeal. She had found me, standing about 20 feet away. I jumped up and held my hands out. Here goes nothing. Uraraka, before you attack me, can we just talk? I asked nervously. Sure. If you let me cut you afterwards, she replied with a sinister smile. Listen, I need you to remember something. Do you remember when we met? I asked her. The sinister smile on her face faltered, and she stared at me, motionless. Remember when I saved you during the entrance exam? You were trapped under rubble and couldn't escape. Helped you, I said. Suddenly, she clutched her stomach and fell to her knees, seemingly in pain. It was working. I approached her slowly, ready to jump back if she tried to strike. But she remained still, grunting in discomfort. Remember, decayed at you, I heard her say. But then, without warning, she swung her knife, leaving a small cut on my cheek. She laughed darkly. Of course I remember, Izuku. You know what else I remember? I remember you failing to save me, she said, giggling. No. I replied, my heart sinking. You couldn't save me, Izuku. Now I'm here, trying to hurt you. And I love it, she squealed, swinging her knife again. I feel so alive, Izuku. I love this feeling. I started to back away, but then I stopped. Running wouldn't solve anything. I needed to confront her directly, without causing her harm. I had to make her remember. Earlier, Kirishima and Bakugo had been locked in a fierce battle with Ishimori and Akiko, seemingly evenly matched. Both sides continued to fight fiercely, exchanging powerful blows. It's time to end this, Ishimori shouted. Ishimori dodged one of Kirishima's attacks and attempted to paralyze him with a touch. However, due to Kirishima's hardening quirk, it had no effect, catching him off guard. Kirishima retaliated with a punch that sent Ishimori flying back, but he quickly regained his footing. We won't allow you to interfere with Master's plan. His liberation is almost complete. Soon, this country will know our name, Ishimori declared as he lunged at Kirishima. So kidnapping innocent people is acceptable if it's for a cause? That's ridiculous, Kirishima retorted, dodging and landing another hit on Ishimori. Her quirk is exactly what we needed. Someone who could easily lift and destroy, someone who could cause a large-scale disaster. I just gave Master what he wanted, Ishimori explained. By now, Ishimori had devised a plan. He lunged at Kirishima again, knowing he was pushing himself too hard. With Bakugo preoccupied fighting Akiko, Ishimori saw his opportunity. Kirishima attempted to dodge, but Ishimori switched his attack to a punch aimed at Kirishima's gut. Kirishima felt his hardening quirk beginning to falter during the fight. He fell to the ground in pain as Ishimori approached him. Kirishima realized he couldn't keep straining his quirk for much longer without risking injury. With one more punch to the face and a quick touch to paralyze him, Kirishima was down. What was that about defeating us, huh? Now your friend will have to fight two at once. And you get to watch him get overwhelmed, Ishimori taunted. Monster. Kirishima tried to protest. Just go to sleep, kid, Ishimori said, delivering a swift kick to his head, knocking him out. Meanwhile, Bakugo and Akiko were locked in an intense battle, equally matched in skill and strength. Both bore cuts and bruises but refused to give up. Akiko lunged at Bakugo with her sharp nails, but he countered with an explosion that pushed her back. I have to admit it, kid. You're impressive. Maybe if you give up now, Master would consider you for our liberation, she said. Like I'd ever join a pathetic group like yours. I'd rather die than team up with losers like you, Bakugo shot back, preparing for another attack. So be it. Then you can join your little friend over there, she smirked. Bakugo immediately glanced at Kirishima, who lay motionless. Uncertainty gripped him, but it only fueled his anger. He realized too late that Ishimori had not been nearby. Just then he dodged Akiko's attack, countering with an explosion that sent her crashing to the ground. But before Bakugo could act further, Ishimori appeared and paralyzed him. I got you. You two were tough to beat. Akiko, are you all right? Ishimori asked. Yeah, this guy got me good, Akiko replied, kicking Bakugo's side, causing him to grunt in pain. Brutes, he muttered under his breath. I don't think we should let these two go. You deal with that one over there. Explosion Boy is mine, Akiko declared. I got it, Ishimori replied, walking over to Kirishima. Well, it was fun and I did offer you a place in our ranks. Too bad you declined, and now you're going to pay the price. See you in the afterlife, Akiko said, extending her nails ominously. Both Bakugo and Kirishima understood what was about to happen. They were facing certain defeat at the hands of villains, with no one to save them. They had agreed to help, but now it seemed they would lose their lives for it. It felt like the end. Suddenly, something fell from the sky, landing between the two fallen teens. Both villains looked up in shock as a small crater formed, sending dust into the air. A figure emerged from the dust, tall and imposing. Fear not, you two, the figure's voice boomed. As the figure stepped out of the dust, both villains instinctively backed away. For I am here. She stared at me as I stood there, her gray eyes locked onto mine. I wasn't going to run this time. I needed to reach into her mind and bring her back. This time, I wouldn't let her go. I would never let her go again. What? You're not going to run? She asked, a giggle escaping her lips. No, I'm not. Not this time, I replied, extending my arms in a welcoming gesture. Come on, run. Make this fun for me, she said, her smile fading. I stood my ground. I said run. Don't make this easier for me, she yelled, and I could see the hurt in her eyes. She wanted me to be scared and flee, but I remained steadfast. Ochako, I know you're hurting inside. But I need you to remember something, I began, but she lashed out at me and I jumped back. Do you remember the sports festival? You said you thought I was amazing. Remember when we teamed up for the exam against Ida and Bakugo? Do you? I asked her. Shut up. I want to see you suffer, she shouted, approaching me with a knife, her hands trembling as she clutched her head. Remember the tree? I used to go there often to think. To be honest, I went there when I thought of you. I always cared about you, Uraraka. Every time we were together, I felt something I had never felt before. Do you remember when we sat under that tree and relaxed? I asked her. Stop, she screamed, collapsing to the floor, shaking violently. It was working, I knew it was. But it wasn't enough. I had to do what was necessary. I stepped closer. She stopped shaking and screaming, then lunged at me. This time, I didn't move. She moved the knife forward, a sinister smile on her face. I gasped quietly as the knife made contact with my side. Uraraka giggled darkly, but when she looked up at my face, her smile faltered. Uraraka. Do you remember? When we almost kissed? I asked, coughing slightly. I could feel warmth trickling from my side as she held the knife in place. Her expression shifted. I said it was a mistake. That was a lie. I wanted you to know I was sorry. And I coughed again. Please, come back, so we could spend that moment together again. Her eyes widened, and she began to tremble, clutching her head with one hand while the other held the knife in my side. I embraced her tightly as she yelled and shook even more. I pulled away to look into her eyes. They were fading from gray to brown and back again. Suddenly, she collapsed against me, pushing the knife deeper, causing me to yelp. Moments later, I heard a groan. You Uraraka? I asked. Deku? My head, is that you? She asked, looking up at me. Her eyes widened as she locked onto mine. They were brown. Her eyes began to water as she hugged me tightly, and I returned the embrace. I looked into Deku's eyes. I hadn't remembered anything except being captured, and I started tearing up as I hugged him. It was warm, soft, until I felt something wet on my hand. I pulled away, looking down. In my hand was a knife, and it was in Deku's side. The liquid was his blood. And no. I whimpered, looking at him. He was smiling. I'm so happier. Back, he managed to say before his eyes began to roll back, and he collapsed to the ground. I dropped the knife as he lay there, unmoving. I started to cry, collapsing next to him and shaking him. And no, come on Deku, please wake up. Deku, please, this isn't funny. I cried. Please Deku, not like this. Please don't leave me. He wasn't moving and my tears fell onto the floor. I felt his heart. It was barely beating. Please Deku, don't leave me. I was screaming now, crying loudly as I lifted his head onto my lap and hugged him. I was covered in his blood, but I didn't care. The doors behind me burst open, and in stepped Mr. Izuocha and All Might, with Kirishima and Bakugo in tow. Holy! No! Izuocha exclaimed, rushing to Deku's side as I held him. Is he breathing? Barely. I cried. All Might, we need to get moving. He doesn't have much time left, Izuocha said, picking him up. I stumbled to get up as well. Uraraka, ɪᴢᴜᴏᴄဃ, Kirishima said, not moving. I collapsed again, crying as All Might picked me up too. Let's get you all to a hospital quick. We don't have much time. Minutes before, All Might had arrived at the scene with Izuocha right behind him, shocking both Ochako and Ishimori. All Might had received a call from a friend in the police force, who reported that Midoriya had left the hospital unnoticed. He called Izuocha for help, and he agreed. Immediately, Ishimori charged at Izuocha, but couldn't use his quirk due to Izuocha's erasure. Izuocha easily wrapped him up with his scarf and sent him flying into the fence. Meanwhile, Ochako lunged at All Might with her nails. She got close to scratching him before he punched her hand, shattering 3 of her nails. She screamed in pain as she flew back, crashing through the chain-link fence and into the street. How are you holding up, Eraserhead? All Might asked. No time to talk, just focus. Izuocha replied. In the moment Izuocha turned to look at All Might, Ishimori kicked Izuocha in the face, giving him the chance to use his quirk. He touched a finger to Izuocha, causing him to feel nauseous. He used that moment to kick Izuocha again. By this time, Ochako had recovered, furious about her broken nails. You heroes! Look what you did to my precious nails, she screamed. I'll make you pay. Ochako, calm down. We need to retreat before it's too late, Ishimori urged. Like we'd let criminals like you simply walk away, All Might's voice boomed. Izuocha tackled Ishimori to the ground, erasing his quirk and grabbing his arm. Ishimori retaliated with a punch to Izuocha's face, cracking his goggles. Izuocha punched back, yanking Ishimori's arm up and using force on his elbow before slamming his palm into it. Ishimori screamed in pain, head-butting Izuocha and causing him to fall to the ground. Ochako rushed to assist her teammate, but a powerful punch sent her crashing against the wall, courtesy of All Might. You monsters! You broke my arm! Ishimori shouted, cradling his injured limb. Just surrender! Your arm is broken, and your teammate is unconscious. You have nowhere to run, All Might declared firmly. That's where you're mistaken, number 1 hero. We may be down now, but we will rise again. Our master has grand plans for us, and we won't be captured by scum like you. Our liberation will succeed, and those who stand in our way will face dire consequences, Ishimori replied, a sinister smile creeping across his face. He raised his good arm, forming a fist. Moments later, smoke bombs erupted from the shadows, enveloping the yard and causing the pro-heroes to cough. Bakugo and Kirishima, still immobilized, joined in the coughing fit. Izuocha and All Might struggled to see anything beyond a foot in front of them. Within half a minute, the smoke cleared and the villains had vanished. We need to pursue them. They can't have gone far. All Might exclaimed. N.No. Kirishima managed to say. Midoriya's inside. W-N to save the girl, Bakugo added. That reckless kid might be in danger, along with Uraraka. The villains might have escaped this time, but we'll track them down. Can you carry those too? I might need to bring Midoriya back if he's hurt, Izuocha stated. As much as All Might wanted to chase after the villains, he couldn't abandon his successor. He knew all 3 students would face serious consequences as well. It was a difficult choice, but he agreed with Izuocha and lifted Bakugo and Kirishima, who remained unable to move. Together, All Might and Izuocha dashed into the warehouse to find Midoriya. Have you been feeling better, Ochako? Since the incident? Better. I think, I replied. Are you still having nightmares? Are you experiencing any post-traumatic stress from the event? Yes and yes. I admitted. The person I was speaking to was my therapist. My parents had arranged for me to see one after the events of 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately, it hadn't helped much. I had just returned to school a couple of days ago, but my classmates didn't welcome me back. Instead, it felt like the opposite. Everyone believed I had tried to harm him. Rumors circulated, and no one would listen to my side of the story. Even Tsu and Ida, 2 of my closest friends, had distanced themselves. Ida blamed me for what happened to him and Deku, all because I hadn't revealed what was going on. Convincing others that I was being controlled was nearly impossible without evidence. Fortunately, the police conducted an investigation, and I wasn't arrested or charged. If I had been, I could have faced a lengthy prison sentence. The stress and depression weighed heavily on me, leading to a few more scars on my arm. I didn't share that with my therapist and instead concealed my scars with a hoodie. Deku's hoodie, to be specific. His mother had given it to me after she saw me wearing it the night of the incident. I believed she wanted me to have something of Deku's while he was in the hospital, to help me cope. It was a kind gesture, as she was one of the few who still trusted me and didn't harbor resentment. I visited Deku in the hospital every day I could since the incident. I would sit and chat with him, sharing updates about everyone's excitement for his return to school. I cherished our conversations. However, I remained anxious, especially after learning that the villains had escaped. I couldn't risk being alone anywhere anymore. On top of everything, I had to take medication for my depression and anxiety. They served as a constant reminder of how my life had spiraled downward, and I often pretended to take them. Alright, that's all for today, Ochako. Same time tomorrow? My therapist asked. Yes, thank you, I replied, shaking her hand. We said our goodbyes and I left her office, heading back to the lobby where my mother waited. Ready to go, Mom? I asked as I entered. Yes, let's go. I assume you want to visit Izuku in the hospital? She replied. Yeah, if that's okay. I said nervously, always fearing she might say no. Of course, sweetie. He must really appreciate your visits, my mother said, winking at me. He does. Though I can't help but apologize to him multiple times a day for what happened. I confessed. We got into her car, and I settled into the passenger seat. The hospital was close to the therapist's office, so I could visit Deku after each session if my mom was available. Usually, when she wasn't, she would drop me off and return later to pick me up. The drive was quiet, and we arrived in about 5 minutes. She parked and dropped me off at the entrance. I have some errands to run, but I'll be back in a few hours to pick you up. Sound good? She asked. Yeah, thanks, Mom, I said, smiling at her. Not a problem, sweetie. Tell Izuku I said hi, she said, waving as she drove away. I walked inside, heading toward the front counter. A woman was typing furiously on a keyboard as I approached. Name and person you're visiting? She asked. Ochako Uraraka. I'm here to see Izuku Midoriya, I replied. The woman scanned the visitors list for Deku. Ah, here you are. Floor 2, room 212, she said. I knew the room well but thanked her anyway before heading to the elevator. I pressed the button for the second floor, and the doors closed, taking me up. When the doors opened, I found Ida standing there, looking surprised to see me. He must have just finished visiting Izuku. He didn't make eye contact as he stepped into the elevator while I exited. I could tell he was still uncertain about everything. I refused to let his attitude affect me. Sure, I was upset that we weren't talking, but Deku's recovery was my priority. I reached his room and knocked before stepping inside. Hey, Deku. I'm here, I called out. No response, just the steady beeping of the medical machines. He wore a breathing mask and had N4 connected. I sighed, feeling the weight of the situation. It wasn't like I expected a response. He had been in a coma for the last 2 weeks after all. I sat in the seat next to him and held his hand as I usually did. It made me feel more at ease. I had another therapy session today, Deku. The therapist thinks I'm doing better, I told him. Even if he wasn't conscious, I enjoyed talking to him. I don't think I'm doing much better, though. I cut again last night, and I know you don't like that, and I'm sorry. I just can't stop blaming myself for all this. The room was silent, which I was used to when I visited him. I secretly wished one day I'd walk in for a visit and he'd be there, awake and waiting for me. But that probably wouldn't happen anytime soon. You know, Deku, I know I say this a lot, but thank you. It's because of you that I'm okay now. I owe you everything. You're my guardian angel, Izuku. My angel in disguise. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, I said, leaning in and gently hugging him. I then felt those feelings again, the ones I always felt towards him. I brushed his hair back a little, leaned down, and placed a light kiss on his cheek, smiling at him. I knew if I wasn't smiling, I would probably be crying. There's something I want to tell you when you wake up, I began. That's my true feelings. I want to tell you what I've been hiding from you. And that thing is that I love you. Always have, And when you wake up, that's the first thing I'm going to tell you. I felt a blush come over my face, realizing that was the first time I had ever admitted it. The first time it was clear to me. I was in love with Izuku Midoriya. I spent the next few hours telling Deku about my day and venting my problems and insecurities to him. It always helped ease my mind. Besides the occasional nurse coming to check in on him, it would only be the two of us in there. It was the only way I could think of spending my time, and that was with him. Any time I wasn't with him, I wanted to be with him. Eventually, though, my mom messaged me that it was time to go. I gave Deku another careful hug before heading to the hospital door. See you later, I'll be back soon. Within a few minutes, I was out of the hospital and went over to my mom's car, which was parked up front. I got into it and sat down in the passenger seat. Did you enjoy your visit, Ochako? She asked me. Yeah. Could we come back tomorrow too? I asked her, and she chuckled. We'll see, sweetheart. I looked out the window as we drove off. I owed my freedom to him. Izuku Midoriya, the boy who stole my heart. I sat at the lunch table by myself, as I had been doing for the last 2 weeks. Nobody wanted to talk to me since the whole event, many of them blaming me for what happened to Deku and Ida, and some thinking I intentionally tried to harm him. That one hurt really. People accusing me of trying to hurt the boy I was in love with. On some days, Kirishima and Bakugo would sit with me during lunch. As of now, they were the only students who didn't blame me or accuse me of wrongdoing. It was only because they were there that night and knew Deku did everything he could to save me. They had become people I could rely on to protect me during school since I figured some students would want to hurt me for what I supposedly did. Bakugo and Kirishima walked over to the table, deciding to sit by me today. This seat taken? Kirishima asked, smiling. It never is, feel free to fill it up, I said with a weak smile. They both sat down. How are you holding up, round face? Bakugo asked, taking a bite of his food. How's the nerd doing? I know you visited him yesterday. He's good for the most part. I'm just hoping he wakes up soon. I replied, looking down at my food. Hey, keep that chin up and smile proudly. Midoriya will wake up soon, I know he will. After all, he has all his friends here waiting for his return, Kirishima stated. Yeah, all of his friends. The ones who blame me for what happened to him. How do I even know he won't blame me for what happened to him? I asked them, lowering my head again. All these extras here are idiots. They only believe what they want to believe and ignore the truth. Shitty hair and I know the truth, hence why we're here talking to you now, Bakugo said to me. Yeah, we didn't doubt it for a second. I mean, we both got hurt and put in the hospital for days, all so Midoriya could save you. Why would you want to harm someone who saved you? Kirishima stated. People are just dumb sometimes. Just know we got your back. Thank you both. It helps knowing I have someone to talk to, I stated, smiling. Of course. We're all friends of Midoriya here after all. Therefore we all just need to stay positive, Kirishima added. He isn't my friend, I'm just waiting for him to get better so I get the fight I was promised, Bakugo stated. Don't lie, Bakugo. You know you're worried too. The rest of lunch consisted of Kirishima teasing Bakugo and him getting mad. Eventually, it was time for lunch to end and for everyone to go to their next class. I threw away my trash and headed towards the door. Just then, someone bumped into my shoulder hard from behind, causing some pain. I looked up as someone turned his head while walking and smiled. It was a third year, and he had an intimidating look on his face. He laughed at me before continuing to walk. Hey, watch where you're going. Kirishima yelled to him, seeing what happened. You okay, Uraraka? Why, I'm fine. I replied. I wasn't fine. That smile triggered some flashbacks. Memories of that man's smile before they took me. I started shaking, as the flashes of what happened flooded my mind. That third year knew who I was and what happened with the incident. It was a huge story on the news. But that person did that to antagonize me. I started to panic, the memories overwhelming me as I fell to my knees. Uraraka, you okay? Kirishima asked me as I struggled to breathe. And no. I said in my panicked state. Many people watched, but I didn't pay them any mind. Hey, Bakugo, help me over here. Come on, Uraraka. We'll help you to the nurse's office, Bakugo said, as he and Kirishima helped me up. A crowd of students watched, their eyes filled with curiosity and concern. They guided me out of the lunchroom, trying to soothe my nerves. Eventually, we reached Recovery Girl's office, where Bakugo and Kirishima were sent back to class, despite Kirishima's desire to stay and ensure I was all right. I spent nearly an hour in Recovery Girl Station, trying to regain my composure while my parents and teachers were informed of the situation. This was the worst bout of anxiety I had experienced, triggered by a simple bump. And a chilling smile. Are you feeling any better, Ms. Uraraka? Recovery Girl asked gently. Why yes. I managed to reply. That's good to hear, dear. Would you like to return to class or have someone pick you up? She offered. I'll return to class. I don't want to fall behind. Thank you, Recovery Girl, I said, giving her a shaky smile. All right, dear. I've written you a pass for your next class so you won't get in trouble, she said, handing me the note. I thanked her once more before leaving the nurse's station. Truth be told, I wasn't fully back to normal. The incident had intensified my feelings of sadness. Students were now whispering and pointing, and I worried that any reminder of the event would trigger my anxiety again. I decided to take a shortcut to my class, opting for a different hallway. I wished I could talk to Deku right now and share everything I was feeling, but I knew I would have to wait. Even if he was still in a coma, just being able to express my feelings would help. As I walked, I noticed an open janitor's closet. Before I knew it, I was pulled inside. You're the girl who hurt that first year, right? You don't look so dangerous, a voice sneered. I looked up in shock to see the student who had laughed earlier, accompanied by a friend. What do you want? I stammered. I just think someone like you doesn't deserve to walk these halls. You're just a coward hiding behind a victim's facade, he said, clenching his fists. I'm not a coward. I protested. Yes, you are. Just because you haven't hurt anyone yet doesn't mean you're innocent. You're a disgrace to this school, he shouted, raising his hand. He swung at me, and I flinched, tears streaming down my face as I felt the sting of his words more than any physical pain. What the heck, Edward? This is too much. We said we were just going to scare her, his friend said, sounding uneasy. But this girl has a lot of nerve. People like her don't belong here, Edward retorted. Please, just leave me alone. I cried. Not until you admit what you did. Until you confess you're a disgrace, he insisted. I do belong here. And I didn't try to hurt him. I shouted back. Fine, then, he said, drawing his hand back again. That's enough, Edward. Stop, his friend shouted. Shut up. This girl is walking around like nothing happened after what she did. I'm going to make sure she regrets it. Edward declared. I felt the memories flooding back, panic rising within me. It was the anxiety again, overwhelming me for the second time that day. Just then, the door to the janitor's closet swung open. I heard a grunt as Edward was thrown against the wall, clutching his stomach. The other boy raised his hands in surrender. The person who had come to my rescue was Izuocha. "Uraraka, are you okay? What did you do to her?" he yelled. "I gave her what she deserved. She doesn't belong here." Edward groaned from the floor. "She isn't a monster. Now stay down before I make you regret it even more." Kirishima shouted, then turned to me. "Hey Uraraka, it's me. Please calm down. Everything is okay now. Just breathe. You messed with the wrong person. Both of you will get what's coming to you," Edward said, trying to get back up. I heard yelling. "What's going on here?" Midnight's voice interrupted as she entered the room. I had forgotten her class was nearby. "These guys attacked my friend when she was vulnerable. Please help her calm down, Uraraka. I'll take you back to the nurse's office," Kirishima explained. "What? She lured us in here and tried to attack us. You heard what she did." Edward lied. Midnight looked at me, shaking and struggling to breathe, while Kirishima continued to support me. "Get her to the nurse's station and make sure she's okay." "I'll handle these two," Midnight instructed. "But Edward began to protest. "You expect me to believe 2 third years were overpowered by a first year? I know better than that," Midnight replied firmly. "You both are in serious trouble. There's even a chance you could be expelled." Kirishima helped me out of the janitor's closet, still trying to steady my shaking form. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed Edward glaring at me over Midnight's shoulder. He would definitely hold a grudge. I attempted to speak, but my nerves made it difficult. "Thank goodness I was here. Mr. Izawa got a call before you left the nurse's office that you were returning to class. When you didn't come back after 5 minutes, I volunteered to find you," Kirishima said, relief evident in his voice. Chapter End. In an unknown location. A man stood looking down at the town below him, a stern expression on his face as he contemplated something. 2 figures approached from behind, their footsteps crunching on twigs and leaves before they halted. One had an arm in a sling, while the other had her hand bandaged. "Master, we've finally found you. We plan on going after the girl again. We will retrieve her," Ishimori declared, kneeling before his master. "Yes, father, we will get her back. Our liberation will continue to grow, and we won't let you down again," Akiko added. "I am very disappointed in both of you. You weren't strong enough to handle the situation, and now we've lost a valuable asset," the master replied. "We're sorry, master, but you're forgetting our part of the deal," Ishimori said. "No, I haven't. I will not be rewarding you. You have failed me, Ishimori and Akiko," the master stated. "Are you serious? I brought the girl to you. You were with her and left her behind. It's not my fault she somehow broke free," Ishimori exclaimed. "Ishimori, calm down. It isn't a big deal," Akiko urged, secretly worried for him, knowing her father's short temper. "It is a big deal. We worked hard to bring him the girl, and he just lets her slip away. I was promised a reward," Ishimori shouted. "There was never a reward, Ishimori. I only needed you to do my bidding," the master replied. "I apologize for deceiving you." "You traitor!" Ishimori yelled. "Ishimori, don't do anything rash," Akiko warned. Ishimori removed his glove and charged at his master, fingers splayed. He had risked so much for that promised reward, and now that it was gone, he sought vengeance. As he lunged, the master sidestepped and seized Ishimori by the neck, lifting him off the ground. "Trying to attack me? That's pathetic. After I gave you another chance, too. What do you have to say for yourself?" the master asked. "Screw you," Ishimori gasped, struggling for breath. "Such a shame. Faith in you. But you're of no use to me like this," the master said, raising his other hand. "Father, don't." Akiko shouted, but he ignored her. "Welcome to my liberation, Ishimori." He placed his hand on Ishimori's head, a sinister glint in his eyes. "My mom pulled up to our home, and I immediately hopped out of the car, slamming the door behind me. I was very upset with her. She got out as I reached the front door, throwing it open. "Ochako, wait," she began, but I slammed the house door, startling my dad, who was lounging on the couch. "Ochako? Hey honey, what's wrong?" he asked, but I ignored him. I dashed to my room, my mom now entering the house and chasing after me. I slammed the door shut and locked it. She called for me, but I didn't respond, flopping down on my bed and burying my face in my pillow. It wasn't fair. Deku was suffering silently in a hospital, and I couldn't even be there for him. "Ochako, please open the door. I want to talk," my mother said. "No, go away. I hate you," I yelled, though I didn't truly mean it. "I don't understand, dear. We're paying a lot for this medicine and she won't take it," my mother said to my father. "She's going through a tough time, honey. We need to give her space to adjust. She can't help how she feels right now. Her friend is in a coma, after all," my father replied. "Her experience was traumatic. I just think she should not visit him for a while. Not until she starts taking her medicine. Her anxiety is getting worse," my mother insisted. "She was kidnapped and controlled, honey. And her friend almost died in front of her. Of course, it's going to be hard. Come on, we can discuss this later." They walked away from my door, leaving me alone as I wanted. I felt despondent and didn't want to be home right now. I reached under my pillow and pulled something out. It was a razor. I just needed something to release my pain. I held it to my wrist, which already bore scars. I pressed it down but immediately tossed the razor aside. I needed to be stronger than that. For Deku. And I needed to see him. Being denied that right was hurting me. It was the only thing that made me feel better. That and wearing his hoodie. Remembering that, I decided to change out of my school uniform. I rummaged through my clothes basket, which my mom must have brought in earlier, and pulled out some casual clothes. A pair of athletic shorts, a light blue t-shirt, and of course, Deku's green hoodie. Every time I wore it, it felt like he was giving me a hug, and it made me feel better. I flopped back down on the bed, checking my phone for any messages. ɪᴢᴜᴏᴄᴅ 2:47 p.m. "Hey, how are you holding up? Ochako Uraraka 3:08 p.m. Not much better. I can't visit Deku today," my parents said. "No," sad face. "Also, you're still in school, so don't message." ɪᴢᴜᴏᴄᴅ 3:10 p.m. "It's okay, we're working on our projects right now. Just wanted to let you know those bullies got expelled. I just got back from the front office. They asked me to tell my side of the story." Ochako Uraraka 3:10 p.m. "Thanks for the info. It makes me feel a little better," smiley face. "Now get back to your project before Bakugo blasts you for slacking." I didn't get a response, so I assumed he was busy. I didn't enjoy lying here on my bed doing nothing, but what else was there to do? Most of my day consisted of school and visiting him in the hospital. But since I got out early and couldn't see him, I had nothing else to occupy my mind. My thoughts were too clouded to focus on anything. After what felt like hours of lying there, my mom knocked on my door. "Ochako?" she asked gently. "Go away," I replied, burying my face in my pillow. "Hey, I know you're upset, but Inko invited us over for dinner just now. She said she would love for you to come and see how you're doing," my mother informed me. "Would you like to go?" My parents had become friends with Deku's mom, offering their condolences during her time of need. Since the incident, she had been inviting us to dinner about twice a week, which we always accepted. My parents were always there to help when she needed it. Besides, Inko would do the same if it were me in that position. "Yeah," was all I responded. "Alright, go ahead and get ready." "We're about to leave," my mother replied. Since I was already ready, I decided to at least try to look presentable, tying my hair back into a fluffy ponytail while letting 2 front locks hang down. I slipped on my white tennis shoes and headed out of my room. In the living room, my dad was putting on his shoes while my mom took a watermelon out of the fridge, likely for dessert tonight. As the fridge closed, I noticed the bag of mochi that Deku had gotten me a while ago. I had eaten some occasionally, but not recently. After a minute or two, they were ready to go. I still hadn't said a word to them, and I think they understood that I didn't want to talk. We finally left the house and got into the car, now on our way to Deku's mom's apartment. That first year is the reason we got suspended, one of the teens from before exclaimed. It was the one who had slapped Ochako. You're the one who attacked her. I told you to stop, the other boy replied. Whatever, she deserved it. She's going to pay for getting me suspended, he said, a smirk on his face. The two boys heard footsteps behind them and turned to see no one. They looked around, a little spooked. Suddenly, a finger touched one of the boys, causing him to drop to the floor. The other boy jumped back, staring at the man with a cast on his arm. He had black hair and a sinister smirk on his face, with piercing gray eyes. What the hell? The other teen exclaimed, frightened but ready to fight. Relax, kid. I'm not here to hurt you. That girl you were just talking about, her name is Ochako Uraraka, right? The man asked. Why yeah, what's it to you? The teen replied. You want revenge on her, don't you? What if I said I could help you with that? The man offered. The man with gray eyes stepped closer to the teen. My name is Ishimori, but I go by Plague Doctor. Join us, and I can make your revenge dream a reality. He extended a gloved hand to the teen. The teen hesitated, thinking about joining this obvious villain, despite wanting to be a hero. Then he remembered that Ochako Uraraka had taken his chance at becoming a hero. He wanted his revenge. So, he reached out and shook the man's hand. Ah, Akiko, welcome back, my dear daughter. How was your scouting mission? Father asked me. Fine, not that you care, I replied, my tone sharp. You've got quite the attitude today, don't you? Father remarked, raising an eyebrow. Yeah, and? I'm allowed to act how I please. You don't get to tell me how to act, I shot back. I was acting this way for a reason. He had used his quirk on Ishimori, my partner, turning him into a mindless pawn. As foolish as Ishimori was, I considered him a worthy companion. Because of that, I resented my father and his plans. You'd best behave, dear daughter. You wouldn't want to end up like poor Ishimori, would you? He warned. What? Be turned into your own personal pawn. Because I'm pretty sure you already treat me like that, father, I said sarcastically. In an instant, he reached out and grabbed me by the neck, lifting me off the ground. I struggled, scratching at his hands, trying to break free. He wore a sinister expression. Don't call me father. By the way you're acting, I see that I don't have a daughter. You're nothing to me, Akiko. Just a thorn in my side, replaceable. I don't need you for my plans to succeed. Remember that, he said as I began to lose my breath. Let go, I pleaded. He threw me to the ground, and I slid a little on the floor. You're lucky I didn't end your life, he told me. I would have without a second thought. Jay, just like you did. Mother. I managed to say, glaring at him, coughing and trying to breathe. Your mother was weak. She didn't want to help me with my plans, so I dealt with her. Now leave me be before I deal with you too. I quickly recovered from the floor and moved as fast as I could toward the exit. Don't fail me again, Akiko. I exited the room as the doors closed behind me. In my anger, I punched the wall. I took off my necklace, a blue glass sphere that had been a gift from my father some time ago, and threw it to the floor, stomping on it until it shattered. I hated him. That wasn't my father. That was a monster. I started walking away. I was done doing what my father forced me to. I would act on my own free will. All I ever did was follow in my father's footsteps, and all that led me to was darkness and evil. Something my mother never was. She was always loving and kind, always wanting the best for me. Before he ended her life, it was time for me to forge my own path. My first order of business was to get stronger and take a different route, and then end that monster's life. We were almost at ɪᴢᴜᴏᴄ's apartment. I stared out the window, still not wanting to communicate. I knew I was acting out of character, but with everything happening in my life, it had been hard to process my emotions. I guess that's what therapy. Shoot. Mom, what about therapy? Am I missing it? I asked her. I didn't want to go, but if I missed it, I would have to take more sessions. Don't worry about it, honey. I figured you wouldn't feel up for it after what happened today, so I rescheduled. I hope you don't mind, my mother replied. I turned back to looking out the window. Thanks. I told her. I remained silent as we pulled into the apartments, parked, and exited the car. My mother retrieved the watermelon and a few other items from the back seat before we all headed to ɪᴅᴜ's apartment. We climbed the stairs to her door and knocked. Within 20 seconds, the door opened, and she greeted us with a weary smile. "Hey, ɪᴅᴜ. Thanks for inviting us over," my mother said. "Thanks for coming over. Please come in." "I'm almost done preparing dinner," she said, smiling again. As we entered her apartment, I noticed the bags under her eyes. I could imagine she hadn't been sleeping since Deku had fallen into a coma. I truly felt her pain. Sleep had been elusive for me lately as well. She walked into the kitchen to finish preparing dinner while I sat on the couch, my hands tucked into the pockets of my hoodie. I felt awkward as my mom and ɪᴅᴜ chatted away. I tried to avoid speaking when I was there. Even though she said it wasn't my fault, I still felt responsible for Deku's condition. Nothing could change the fact that everyone thought I had tried to hurt my best friend. But life goes on one day at a time. "Hey everyone, dinner's ready. I hope you brought an appetite," ɪᴅᴜ called out. I was hungry, but I didn't have much of an appetite. Not that I ate much anymore anyway. I made sure to prepare plenty, so please help yourselves, ɪᴅᴜ said with a warm smile. "Thank you again for inviting us, ɪᴅᴜ. I know this is a stressful time for you, and we'd love to help in any way we can," my mother said. "Please, just having you here is enough help. It is stressful, yes, but I keep telling myself he'll be okay and wake up soon. That thought motivates me to be strong for him. Izuku means everything to me, and I know he'd want me to be strong," ɪᴅᴜ replied. I had never thought of it that way. I needed to stop tearing myself down and embrace a more positive outlook. I just needed to remind myself that Deku would be okay. He would pull through and wake up soon. I needed to be happy and strong for him, even if I felt sad and down. "You going to eat, Ochako? You look like you have something on your mind," ɪᴅᴜ asked. "Yes, sorry. I was lost in thought." "I'll eat, I promise," I said, grabbing some food and putting it on my plate. "Thinking about anything in particular?" she inquired. "Just what you said. We all need to keep telling ourselves he'll wake up soon." "I know he will," I said, smiling. She smiled back, and we continued our dinner in silence. Occasionally, my mom and ɪᴅᴜ would talk about their jobs, while my dad and I ate quietly. After a while, my mom's phone buzzed with a notification. She read it for a couple of minutes before speaking. "Oh, that's terrible," my mom exclaimed. "What is it, honey? Is something wrong?" my father asked. "I just got a notification about a news article. 2 third years from your school were attacked on their way home. Here, take a look," my mom said, handing me her phone. "Students attacked on way home. A student from UA claims he and his friend were attacked by a man on their way home from school. The student alleges that the assailant touched him with one finger and he was out like a light. We spoke to witnesses nearby, who described the man as having black hair, wearing all black, and having a cast on one arm. They claimed the other victim, ɪᴢᴜᴏᴄ, had agreed to go with the man, although we do not know under what circumstances. Authorities have been called and are looking for the man and Edward as of right now. Please contact the police department if you have any leads on their location." My eyes widened. No, they can't be back. I was told Izuocha broke his arm. And that description. Down to taking someone down with one finger. That Edward teen. That's the name of the 3rd year who confronted me. "Oka? You alright?" "Hey, Earth to Ochako," my mom said, snapping me back to reality. "Yeah, I'm alright." "That's crazy. I hope they're okay," I told her, handing her phone back. They were back. After being gone for over 2 weeks, they had returned. We had all finally finished dinner, although I still hadn't eaten much, and started to help clean up. After a few minutes, the food was put away, and the dishes were set in the sink. As my mom and dad got their coats on and prepared to leave, so did ɪᴅᴜ. "Oh, going somewhere, ɪᴅᴜ? We can give you a ride," my dad offered. "Nah, it's fine. I'm going to see Izuku in the hospital before it gets too late." "Actually, Ochako, would you like to come with me?" she asked. I hesitated, not because I didn't want to see Deku, but because I was waiting for my mom to say no, as she had all day. To my surprise. "Well, are you going to answer her, Ochako?" my mom said, smiling. It's up to you. Is it okay if I come along? I don't want to be a burden, I asked. Nonsense. You're never a burden. I'd enjoy the company, ɪᴅᴜᴏ said, smiling. Just be sure to have her back before it's Saturday tomorrow, so I'll allow you to stay out that late, my mom said, winking. I hugged her, and my parents left, heading home for the night. A couple of minutes later, ɪᴅᴜ and I headed out to her car and got in, on our way to see Izuku. But once we were inside, ɪᴅᴜ stared ahead, deep in thought. Ochako, may I ask you a question? She said. Sure. I replied, nervously. You and my son. You visit him quite often, yes? He talked about you a lot, and you two always seem to be around each other, she said. Yeah, he's always been there for me, especially when I need him most, I replied. We support each other. That's really sweet. I was wondering though, are you two a couple by any chance? She asked, and I felt my cheeks flush as I looked down. I'll be honest, we aren't. But, I began. But you feel something and wish it would happen? She asked, and I nodded, realizing she was spot on. Yeah. I'm sure he feels the same way, honestly. I mean, he did risk a lot to save you after all. I'm so proud of him for doing what's right, even if it means taking risks. Once he wakes up, you should tell him how you feel. I guarantee he would appreciate it, ɪᴅᴜ stated, smiling at me. Thanks, I replied, smiling back. Now we should probably get going. I don't want to waste the time you could be having with Izuku. I nodded in agreement as she started the car and began driving. Master, I've returned with a boy from UA. He seems to have a grudge against Ochako Uraraka, Ishimori stated. Oh, good work, Ishimori. May I have his name and quirk? Master responded. ɪᴢᴜᴏᴄᴜ. His quirk allows whatever he touches to be frozen in place. It's like a game of freeze tag, really, Ishimori explained. And it works on living things too. It's pretty neat, actually. I can make a speeding car stop instantly if I wanted to, ɪᴢᴜ said proudly. That could be useful. Ishimori, he will be your new partner. I have a new mission for you. Master, with all due respect, may I ask what happened to Akiko as my partner? Ishimori inquired, kneeling. That's actually what your new mission is about. You see, Akiko approached me, and now she's gone without my permission and hasn't responded to my calls. I have reason to believe she might be betraying us, Master explained. What would you like us to do, Master? Ishimori asked. I want you two to track Akiko down and bring her back to me alive. Yes, sir. ɪᴢᴜ, and I won't let you down. What will happen to her when we retrieve Akiko? Ishimori questioned. A sinister chuckle escaped Master. I'll take care of her myself. But what about that girl? I was promised my chance for revenge on her for getting me expelled. ɪᴢᴜ exclaimed. Patience, ɪᴢᴜ. She is our prize. But we need to address the bigger issue first, the traitor among us. Once that's resolved, you'll have your chance. Now go, we have a lot of work to do, Master instructed before leaving the room. ɪᴢᴜ stared at the door. In just one day he had lost his chance to be a hero and had joined the villains all for revenge against one girl. He questioned this choice but shook it off. He was too invested now to turn back. ɪᴅᴜ and I arrived at Izuku's hospital room and went inside. The nurse greeted us before leaving, seemingly finished with her duties. We pulled chairs up to either side of his hospital bed. ɪᴅᴜ held his left hand while I intertwined my fingers with his right. I always felt calmer doing this, especially now more than ever. He's so peaceful right now, isn't he? ɪᴅᴜ asked me. Yeah, but I know inside he's suffering. He doesn't know if everyone's okay or what's going on around him, I replied. He might be suffering, but I know he's willing to endure it because he saved you, ɪᴅᴜ stated. He wouldn't have done what he did if he knew you wouldn't be safe right now, Ochako. I just miss him, I said, tears beginning to form. I just want to hear his voice again. I want to see him smile, I added as a tear rolled down my face. I know, sweetie. Remember, the best thing to do right now is to be strong, okay? ɪᴅᴜ said. I know, but how can I when everyone hates me? My friends hate me, I said, pulling my legs to my chest in the chair. You shouldn't worry about them right now. Let them believe what they want while the people who know the truth stand by you. The ones who do are your true friends, Inko reassured me. Like me. I just hope everything changes when he wakes up and tells everyone the truth, I said. We fell into silence after that, the only sound being the quiet beeps of the machines he was hooked up to. I could tell Inko was hurting inside. I was too. It felt like a piece of my life was missing now that he wasn't awake to fill that void. Sitting under the tree he loved so much didn't help either, it just felt empty. It felt like forever until Inko spoke again. I got a letter a few days ago. From you. They're expelling Izuku, and it's effective once he wakes up, she said. What, why? I questioned, shocked. They stated it was because he was told not to go after that villain to save you, and he didn't listen, which led to this, she explained. But he saved me. Why would they expel him for that? I asked, heartbroken. They stated that just because he succeeded doesn't make it right to disobey the rules. I won't let them expel him. There's no way, I declared. She shook her head and smiled gently. There's no need to get in trouble over this. Izuku was always smart and knew actions had consequences. I'm sure he understood those consequences when he went to save you, she said. Trust me. But if I was stronger and could fight for myself, I began to say. Please, stop blaming yourself. I don't like when you do. The only ones at fault are the villains, and I won't let you say otherwise. You did what you thought was right to prevent others from being hurt, so that's that, Inko said softly with a reassuring smile. I rubbed Izuku's hand that was in mine with my thumb. I wasn't sure if Inko was right, but no matter how much she tried to convince me it wasn't my fault, my mind kept saying otherwise. Was it all my fault? I had nowhere to go. I was wanted for my actions, hated by my father, and probably being hunted right now. I looked at myself through a store window. The reflection showed someone I once didn't want to be. I was a villain, a criminal who had hurt people. I felt the pain in my chest, thinking of those I had harmed. My life changed when my mother died. I was a monster. There was no place for me in society anymore. My father had brainwashed me into thinking all I was ever good for was being a villain, and he had been doing that since I was young. I remembered what I wanted to become so long ago. I wanted to be a hero. But when I told my father back then, he called me a disgrace. He told me heroes were scum and that I wasn't his daughter if I wanted to be a hero. That's when he started filling my mind with this villain nonsense. I remembered now. But it was too late. I was a good-for-nothing villain, and I couldn't change that. But I could still do the right thing. I could confront my father. I snapped from my thoughts, pulling my hood back over my head. It was dark out, but I didn't want to take any chances of being spotted. As I walked down the empty sidewalk, I thought about the times I had wished I was a normal girl. Wishing I had a normal family. But instead I was granted this hell and had to live it. I guess I had been walking subconsciously because I was now nearing the hospital. Not that it mattered. I didn't know where I was going anyway. Sleep well, Det. I'll visit you again soon, I promise, I told him, letting go of his hand. It was time to leave. It was a little past 10 o'clock, and I needed to get home. I felt better being next to him but knew I would miss him later. His mother kissed his hand before we headed out of the room. Did you enjoy the visit? Inko asked me. Yeah, always do. I always wish in my mind that I could have just a few more minutes, though. I replied. I know, dear. Remember, if you ever want a ride to come see him when your parents can't, I'm only a call away, Inko offered. I couldn't ask you to do that, I told her. I wouldn't want to pester you. Pester me? Ochako, any time is a good time for me to see my son. You asking me just gives me an excuse to see him. Thank you, Inko. It means a lot to me. We made it outside and started looking for her car, trying to remember where she parked. We found it after a couple of minutes, hopped in, and headed out of the parking lot. The roads were somewhat empty at this time of night, and not many cars were around. I did notice one lone person walking our way, though. I hadn't gotten a good look at the person until we reached a stoplight, and I could see them a little better as they glanced up for a moment. The first thing I noticed was the red hair, then their face as they stared at me. We made eye contact. By some horrifying coincidence, we came face to face again. My heart raced, and I felt a tightness in my chest. The light turned green as tears began to form. She continued to look at me, even as we drove away. I glanced back, but she remained still. I started to tremble, catching Inko's attention. "Ochako? Hey, are you all right, sweetheart?" she asked with concern. I didn't respond as tears streamed down my face. Thankfully, I wasn't overwhelmed by past trauma this time, it was just panic. Inko gently took one hand off the steering wheel and held one of my hands. "Hey, everything's okay, Ochako. I'm here. Just take a deep breath," Inko reassured me. "Just keep inhaling and exhaling." I followed her advice, taking deep breaths. Within a minute, my heartbeat slowed, and I stopped crying. She smiled at me. "Feeling better?" she asked. "Why, yeah," I replied. "What happened? You seemed startled all of a sudden," she inquired. "I saw someone. One of the villains who kidnapped me before. I think they might be coming back for me," I confessed, fighting back tears again. "If that's the case, we should get you home," she said firmly. "I want you to be safe." I nodded, leaning back and trying to clear my mind. But it was impossible. They were coming for me again. I spotted her, the girl we had been searching for. It was a fated encounter, but we exchanged wary glances as she sat in a car with an unknown individual. I could see the fear in her eyes as they drove away. I took a step forward to follow them but hesitated, remembering something important. I didn't have to do things for my father anymore. That meant I didn't have to chase after her. I didn't have to be a villain, even if others would see me that way for the rest of my life. I could strive for a fresh start. My father was no longer here to control me, and I could finally choose my own path. I smiled and began to walk again. "Don't worry, Ochako Uraraka, you don't have to fear me anymore. Once I defeat Father and Ishimori, you won't have to fear them either." I woke up to an early Sunday morning, which was less than ideal since I had stayed up late visiting Deku in the hospital the night before. To make matters worse, I had trouble sleeping. The reason? I had seen that villain again. It was unsettling to witness her walking around freely when she was wanted. Terrifying, really. Shaking off last night's encounter, I grabbed some clothes and headed for an early morning shower, something I had skipped the night before. Once I undressed and adjusted the water to my liking, I stepped in. Showers were always a great way to wake up, and they usually left a person feeling refreshed. Although I felt a bit more awake, it didn't ease the turmoil inside me as my eyes fell on something specific. The scars on my wrist. A permanent reminder of my struggles. Did I regret what I had done? They reminded me that I needed to grow stronger. But was I getting stronger? After last night, I wasn't so sure. I must have zoned out because I was jolted back to reality by my mom knocking on the bathroom door. "Ochako, you in there?" "Hello," she called. "Yeah, what do you need?" I shouted back. "Oh, I called for you 3 times now. Your phone's been ringing. Are you expecting a call?" she asked. "No, I'll be out in a bit." "Just ignore it," I replied. "Who would be calling me?" I finished my shower, dried off, and quickly changed into a pink shirt and light blue shorts. I spent a few minutes brushing my hair, tying it back in a ponytail with the front hanging down as usual. I glanced in the mirror. Despite the bags under my eyes from lack of sleep and my insecurities about my appearance, I thought I looked pretty cute today. I greeted my mom as I left the bathroom, where she was doing laundry. My first order of business was to check who had called me. It could have been Bakugo or Kirishima, as they were the only ones to message me. But they never called. The only other person who would message me that wasn't my parents was Inko. I was completely caught off guard when I checked my phone. ɪᴢᴜᴏᴄ 7:38 a.m. You missed a call from ɪᴢᴜᴏᴄ. ɪᴢᴜᴏᴄ 7:41 a.m. Meet at the municipal park at 9 if you're up. We need to talk. Ochako Uraraka 7:56 a.m. K. That was all I sent back. It felt strange. Although she used to be my best friend, she hadn't wanted to talk or even look my way since the incident. It gave me goosebumps that she wanted to talk all of a sudden. Did she want to confront me? Or was she genuinely ready to discuss things? As it neared 9:50, I got ready to leave. The park wasn't too far from my home, after all. I decided to bring my purse, which contained the pepper spray my mom insisted I carry. I debated wearing Deku's freshly washed hoodie but finally slipped it on over my shirt. Once I was confident I had everything, I left my room. My mother looked my way as I entered the living room. "You look nice. Going somewhere, honey?" she asked. "Yeah, I'm going to meet one of my friends at the park. And before you worry, I have my pepper spray with me in case something happens," I said, digging into my purse to show her the small bottle. "Ochako. Remember, if someone attacks," she began. "I run as fast as I can back here and use my pepper spray only if it's needed. Don't worry so much about me," I reassured her with a smile. "I'm always going to worry about my little girl," she said, smiling back. I hugged her and my father before leaving the house to meet my friend. I watched her leave her house from a building down the street. Why was I watching Ochako Uraraka, you may ask? Simple. My father was still after her, and I had made it my mission since I saw her last night to stop him from getting what he wanted her. If I was lucky, Ishimori would show up, and I could intervene. Was I a villain? That's what I was and what I would always be. But that didn't mean I couldn't have good morals. After what happened to Ishimori and him being controlled by that man, I wasn't about to let another person experience that. I brushed my red hair from my face, watching Ochako walk down the sidewalk, looking around cautiously as she approached alleyways. So this is what we did to her. She couldn't even walk without being scared. Smart girl, I whispered to myself. As she passed the building where I was hiding, it was time for me to move and follow her. This wasn't my original plan, as I didn't expect her to go anywhere, but I needed to keep an eye on her. My father ruined my future, so stopping him from getting her would help ruin his. Once I was at street level, I threw my costume's hood over my head and kept to the alleyways. Come on, Ishimori, show yourself. As much as I didn't want to hurt you, I needed to. I entered the park, scanning for Izuocha. It wasn't a large place, so I spotted her quickly by the center fountain. The park had some trees, a playground, a basketball court, and a decent-sized grass field for various sports. As I approached, I noticed someone else was with her. It was Ida. "Good you're here," Ida said, and I felt a wave of nervousness. Hey guys," I stammered, looking down. They picked up on my unease. "Don't worry, we aren't here to antagonize you. We want to talk," Izuocha said gently. "About?" I asked. "We're giving you a chance to tell us exactly what happened that day. You see, I was with Kirishima yesterday for special training. He insisted we listen to your side of the story. After some hesitation, I agreed and asked Izuocha to come along. I wasn't sure if you'd come otherwise," Ida explained. "Now tell us your part of the story," Izuocha said, her eyes kind. "Please." "Okay," I replied, and they both leaned in eager to listen. "I'll start from the beginning." I began recounting everything, starting with how Deku came to my rescue in the alley when I was taken. I explained that I couldn't remember anything after the villain touched my head and that I had been under mind control. The next thing I knew, I was back, and I had a knife aimed at Deku. I swore I didn't remember anything and assured them I would never intentionally hurt him. That's when I revealed my true feelings. That I could never intentionally hurt the person I care deeply for and love. I said, my voice tinged with sadness as I covered my mouth in surprise at my own admission. Both of their eyes widened, but then they relaxed. "I believe you, Ochako Ribbit. I have a lot of questions before I make my decision. Why would Deku risk expulsion to save you when the heroes were already planning to rescue you?" Ida asked. "I don't know. But knowing Izuku, he probably thought I wouldn't be safe if he didn't act immediately." I replied. "And what did they want with you, exactly?" Ida pressed. "From what Kirishima and Bakugo told me, Deku said they wanted me to join some kind of liberation movement and that my quirk was perfect for it," I explained. "Last question. Can you describe those villains?" "Yes." "One had black hair and wore a cloak. The other was a girl with red hair. Her nails could extend like daggers, and," I started, but was interrupted. "I believe you. That villain was the same one who attacked me and put me in the hospital weeks ago. She warned me not to interfere with their plans, which means they didn't want me getting in the way of capturing you," he said. "So, do you believe me now?" I asked hopefully. "Yes," they replied in unison. "Thank you." It's been really hard, not being able to talk to you guys. I said, a sad expression on my face. We understand, and now that we know the truth, we're sorry. We promised to Ida began, but suddenly someone slammed into him from behind. It happened so quickly that he had no time to react. Before Tsu could respond, she was tackled to the ground by someone in a hooded sweatshirt, who held her arms behind her back. I stood there in shock as the hood was pulled down, revealing the face of the attacker. Ah, what a surprise. We were looking for Akiko and happened to find you. It's nice to see you again, Ochako Uraraka, the man said with a smirk. It was him again. Villains. Of course, you'd strike when our guard is down. Ida exclaimed, recovering from the initial shock. Just stay back and let my friend go. I pleaded, my hands trembling. They had Azui in a hold, and she was defenseless. You see how your actions have consequences, girl? This is for getting me expelled, the other person yelled. Calm down, Edward. We haven't drawn too much attention yet. We'll gladly let your friend go if you agree to come back with us. The master has been missing you, the man chuckled. Don't. Ochako, Azui warned. Shut it, or I'll make sure you regret it, the teen sneered. I won't go back, I just won't. I said, feeling a wave of fear wash over me. Please, not now. Then we'll have to force you, the man declared. He charged toward Ida and me. Ida took a fighting stance, while I collapsed to the ground in fear. Ida glanced at me and saw the terror in my eyes. The villain seized the opportunity to rush us, and Ida was caught off guard. Just as he was about to attack, he jumped away, narrowly avoiding a swipe from the woman with the dagger-like nails. Akiko. Looks like both of our prizes are here, the man said. The master will be most pleased. You two, get your friend and get out of here. I'll handle them, the woman shouted. We quickly nodded in agreement, and I scrambled to my feet despite my fear. Edward, stop them. I have bigger things to deal with, the man said, dodging another swipe as Akiko charged at him. Finally, some action. You're mine, Ochako, he yelled, leaping off Azui with a sinister grin. Azui recovered and ran toward us as well. Ida was quick, but I wasn't fast enough to escape the teen. In my panic, I tripped and fell. I turned and crawled away as the teen laughed menacingly. I stared at him, horrified. It's time you get what you deserve, he taunted, reaching for me. In a moment of desperation, I remembered my pepper spray. I quickly reached into my purse, pulled it out, and sprayed it directly into his face. I kept my hand on the nozzle as he fell, screaming in pain. Ida and Azui helped me up, and I threw the can at his head, knocking him fully to the ground as we made our escape. You can run, Ochako, but we'll find you, the other man shouted. I glanced back at him. He was still locked in a fierce battle with Akiko. Why would she attack her own partner? We dashed out of the park, still running despite the ache in my chest. We didn't stop until we reached the safety of my house. We should be safe, Ida said, trying to catch his breath. But did the attack? Azui asked between gasps. I don't know. But that woman helped us, I replied, also trying to catch my breath. After a moment, we began to recover. Phew, I feel better now. Back to what you said, Uraraka. It's strange that the woman helped us, Ida noted. Especially since she attacked us before. Yeah, it is strange. Maybe she's switching sides. I speculated. Perhaps they had a disagreement? I don't know. But we should all head home and stay safe, just in case they come after us, Ida advised. I agree. We live close to each other, Ida, so would you mind walking home together? Azui asked. Yes. Please be safe, Uraraka, Ida said to me. I will, I promised. As they began to walk away, I headed to my front door. That's when I noticed another car in our driveway, Inko's car. Why would she be here so early? Was something wrong? Entering the house, I found all three of them looking at me. Hey, Ochako. Your mom said you were out with friends, but I stopped by to see if you wanted to see Izuku today, Inko said. Is everything all right? Did something happen? I asked, feeling a bit anxious. No, at least I hope not. The hospital called and asked if I could come in around 1 to discuss something with me. I thought you might want to join, ɪᴤᴜ replied. Yeah, I'd love to. Great. I came over early to bring some donuts I bought too, ɪᴤᴜ said, presenting a box to us. Thanks again, ɪᴤᴜ. We always enjoy having you here, my dad said, taking a donut. Are you sure it's her company you enjoy, or just the donuts? My mom teased. We all laughed and I headed to my room to put my purse away. Despite everything that had happened today, my spirits weren't completely dampened. I was going to see Deku after all. Little did I know, I would soon discover what was really going on. The time had finally come to visit Deku, and I rode with ɪᴤᴜ to keep her company while my parents drove behind us. I had been waiting rather impatiently for the last couple of hours to see him, especially after the events of this morning. I felt like I needed to be there for him. I didn't have to worry about Ida and Azui, they had messaged me to let me know they got home safely. As for the villains, I hadn't seen any news updates about them yet, and I hadn't informed my parents either. If I did, they'd never let me leave the house again. Speaking of Deku, I was a little worried when ɪᴤᴜ mentioned she had to go to the hospital, but she assured me everything seemed fine over the phone. She thought it would just be to fill out paperwork or something. I was honestly excited to see Deku again, even though I had seen him almost every day in the last 2 weeks. We pulled into the hospital's parking lot and got out just as my mother and father parked a couple of spaces down. We waited for them to catch up before heading inside. I received a message on my phone and checked it. Tenya Ida 12:52 p.m. Pest, turn around. Smiley face. I turned around and saw Ida running up to us, waving. ɪᴤᴜ greeted him with a smile, but I was completely shocked. Why was he here? Ida, what are you doing here? I asked, dumbfounded. Well, I came to visit my brother since he was transferred here last night. I take it you're here to see Midoriya? What a coincidence. Ida replied. Ida, it's been how are you feeling since the incident? ɪᴤᴜ asked. I'm as good as new, thanks for asking. Mind if I tag along to visit Midoriya too? I figured I'd see him for a bit since I'll be spending a few hours with my brother, Ida said. Sure, I'm sure he'll like that, ɪᴤᴜ replied. We all began to walk as Ida placed a hand on my shoulder and whispered. Did you tell them about this morning? I won't bring it up if you didn't, he said quietly. No, my parents would never let me leave their sight if I did, I whispered back. What are you two whispering about? My mom asked. Oh, nothing, Mom. I replied. She casually moved back to my side. So this is Ida, huh? Do you like him? He's kind of cute after all, my mother whispered. I shot her a glare. You know very well who has my heart, Mother. Ida's just a good friend. I whispered back. She had figured out that I liked Deku about a week ago, but luckily she kept it between us. Now what are you two talking about? My father asked. And nothing. We both replied, earning a giggle from everyone, including Ida. Once we entered the hospital, we checked in, and my mother gave Ida the all-clear to join us. We piled into the elevator, and I was smiling, which Ida noticed. Excited to see Midoriya? He asked. Yeah. I always enjoy being able to see him, I replied. I like to think it makes him happy. I'm sure he does, you're his best friend after all. And once he wakes up, you can tell him all about it, Ida said, smiling at me. He'd like to know he always had a friend by his side. When Deku wakes up, I'm ready to tell him how I truly feel. That I love him. That none of this was his fault and that I would always be by his side. He needs to know how much I care for him. We reached his room, and ɪᴤᴜ opened the door first to reveal a doctor standing by Deku. Ah, Mrs. Midoriya, you've made it, the doctor said. I'm Dr. Togata. I'm the one who called you earlier this morning. I wanted to go over some things with you that could be very serious. What? Of course, doctor. Please continue, ɪᴤᴜ said, her voice trembling. I looked at Ida and my parents, who also looked anxious. It breaks my heart to tell you this, but Izuku's medical bills are piling up. We calculated the total amount for his time in the hospital, and it needs to be paid in full. I wish there was another way, but sadly there isn't, the doctor said, handing a paper to ɪᴤᴜ. She gasped. 3,197,985 yen. But there's no way I can afford that, Inko exclaimed, her eyes wide. That's what I was afraid of, the doctor said. This would be Izuku's payment for his treatments. Please tell me there's something else I can do. Inko pleaded. I'm sorry. I don't make the rules here. To continue supporting Izuku, that amount needs to be paid in full. Unfortunately, that's not all, the doctor continued. We did a brain scan, and his brain waves are smaller than usual. Typically, they would show more activity. Given this, there's a chance Izuku might not wake up from this coma. My heart sank, and I felt my chest tighten as Ida covered his mouth. Even my parents gasped. No, he has to. Please, you must keep supporting my boy. Inko cried, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do unless his medical bills are paid off. I can only offer this one option, the doctor said, taking a deep breath. What is it? Inko asked, her voice shaking. We can let him go peacefully. This would allow Izuku to pass quietly without pain. It's the only option I can offer, the doctor explained. I couldn't move. This had to be a joke, right? How long until you have to do it? Inko asked, wiping her tears and holding Izuku's hand tightly. We can keep him for another 3 days. That's when the bill must be paid. But you can choose any day in between. It's horrible and I'm so sorry, Dr. Togata said. Please. Can I have the 3 days? I want to spend as much time with him before, she said, breaking down. Then you can let him go peacefully. Of course, Mrs. Midoriya. Once again, I'm so sorry. I was shaking, unable to comprehend what had just happened. I couldn't move. Ida hugged me, and even he began to cry. No, this had to be some kind of sick joke. Yeah. That's why Ida was here. My parents. They had to be in on it too. This is all a joke. You're pulling my leg to see how I'd react, right? I asked them, desperately hoping I was right. Inko asked, confused and still crying. Why yeah, that's why Ida's here and my parents. It has to be some kind of joke. He's going to be okay and wake up. Right? I asked, a lump in my throat. Inko gasped and covered her face with her hands. Ida placed a hand on my shoulder. Uraraka, he said softly. I brushed his hand away. This is some kind of joke, I exclaimed, rushing to Deku, who lay on the hospital bed. I shook him gently. Come on, please wake up. Someone, this isn't funny. Tell me it's a joke, please. I shouted, tears streaming down my face. Ida, Inko, and my parents pulled me away from the hospital bed, wrapping me in a comforting embrace. My emotions overwhelmed me as I cried. This wasn't a cruel prank, it was reality. Inko held me tightly. What about all the things you said I'd get to say to him? I never even. I sobbed. Got to tell him I loved him. I'm so sorry, Ochako. Inko cried. I know I promised you would. My world was crumbling. Izuku Midoriya, the boy I had fallen in love with, would be gone forever in 3 days. I would never get to express my feelings, spend time with him, or see his smile again. At that moment, we were all crying, even my parents, who didn't know him well. This was the worst day of my life. In the days leading up to the final day, I stayed with Izuku, never leaving his side. Inko did the same, both of us sharing moments of quiet tears. She would occasionally step out to get us food. I even slept in that hospital room, sometimes drifting off while holding his hand or resting my head on his leg. I, Ida, and Bakugo were excused from school during this time, as we had the closest bond with Izuku. Many people came to visit over those days. Bakugo and Kirishima came first, paying their respects to their friend. I could have sworn I saw a tear roll down Bakugo's cheek. Ida visited whenever he could, trying to lift my spirits, though I felt like a mess. All Might came by, offering his respects and praying for a miracle each day. Even Aizawa and some classmates visited occasionally. Despite the many visitors, I remained by his side the entire time. I didn't want to leave, not even for a moment, except for quick restroom breaks. But sadly, those days flew by, and the day arrived. The day I had to say goodbye to Izuku. Forever. The people present were my mom and dad, Inko, and All Might. The doctor entered, his expression somber. "This time I take it?" ɪᴅᴜ said sadly, her eyes heavy with exhaustion. She had barely slept, and I felt the same. "This. All I have to do is disconnect the machines, and he will rest peacefully. He won't feel any pain," Dr. Togata explained. I felt tears welling up and ran out of the room. "I can't do this," I yelled, throwing the door open. "Ochako dear, please, where are you going?" my mom called after me. "To the roof. I need fresh air," I cried, pushing through the doors leading to the stairs. The hospital had 6 floors and we were on the 4th, so I rushed up the stairs. The door to the roof was unlocked, and I burst outside, slamming the door behind me. I collapsed to the ground, crying uncontrollably. This was it. In just a few minutes, he would be gone for good. A wave of despair washed over me. I felt responsible. My weakness had led to Deku's condition. I stood up and walked toward the edge of the building. It was all my fault. People had been hurt because of me. Because I was too afraid to speak up. It should have been me in that coma. As I looked over the edge, my sadness deepened. "I'm so sorry I couldn't make your lives easier. Ida, I'm sorry I wasn't the best friend you deserved. ɪᴅᴜ, I'm sorry my actions are causing you to lose your son. And Izuku, I'm sorry for not being there for you. I felt like a failure. This was it. I couldn't stay here. Not without Izuku. Not without the love of my life beside me. I wouldn't get to see him laugh or smile or protect me when I needed him most. I had let everyone down and I hurt those I loved. Maybe, if I wasn't here, everyone would be better off. They would be sad, but eventually, they would move on. Mom and Dad wouldn't have to worry about my future, and it would save them money. Ida would be happier without a burden like me. ɪᴅᴜ would have her chance for closure. Everyone would be happier. So I inched closer to the edge after a few more moments. I didn't want to be in this painful existence anymore. I was ready to jump. And I was ready to end my life. It had to happen. I needed it to happen so everyone could find happiness again. I cried as I prepared to leave this world and the nightmare behind. I wouldn't have to fear the villains anymore. One leap and it would all be over. I took a step closer, about to step off, when I heard a voice behind me. "Uraraka?" All I saw was the darkness around me. It had become a familiar sight, a black void where I stood alone. "Child, it is time." "Time for what?" "Time for you to wake up. Now more than ever." "But you said I wasn't ready. You told me I still had things to do and learn before I left here. That it would be a long time before I was ready." "You do, child. But if you don't wake up now, then you never will. So it's time for you to go back, young one. Thank you for everything. Nana Shimura. It has been an honor watching over you, Izuku Midoriya. Now be free. Go back home and continue living your best life." A small light appeared in the distance. I looked back, but Nana was gone. It was time for me to go home. I started running, breaking through the invisible chains that had held me in place for so long. The light grew closer and closer until... "Are you ready, Mrs. Midoriya?" the doctor asked ɪᴅᴜ. "Yes. I'm ready. I promise, in a quick second it will all be over." "He'll go peacefully," the doctor stated, though even he felt uneasy. All Might, Mr. and Mrs. Uraraka, and ɪᴅᴜ were there. Uraraka had left moments ago. Everyone felt the weight of sorrow, knowing they were about to witness the loss of a beloved boy. The doctor reached for the plug, and ɪᴅᴜ couldn't bear to look. Just as he was about to act, he noticed something. "What the?" he said, pulling his hand back. What is it, doctor?" ɪᴅᴜ asked, tears streaming down her face. "No way. His brain readings are spiking up almost instantaneously. I've never seen anything like this," the doctor exclaimed. Suddenly, the brain wave scanner maxed out, catching the doctor off guard as he stepped back. Izuku's body began to glow, a vibrant pink light reminiscent of when he activated One for All. The heart monitor surged, and the lights in the room flickered. Everyone gasped in shock, unsure of what was happening. "What's going on, doctor?" Ochako's mother asked. "I don't know," the doctor replied. Then, just as suddenly as it began, everything stopped. The lights steadied, and the room returned to its previous state, except, where am I? My eyes opened slowly, and I noticed people staring at me in disbelief. All Might? Ochako's parents? I was unsure of what to say, my vision slightly blurred but returning. Where am I? I stammered. Izuku? Oh my God, Izuku! My mom rushed to me, enveloping me in a tight embrace. No way. It's a miracle, the doctor shouted. Everyone looked at me, completely astonished. What's going on? I asked. Where's ᴅᴏ? Izuku, oh my goodness. We all thought you were going to die. I'm so glad you're okay. You've been in a coma for over 2 weeks. Inko cried into her son's arm. Sorry, Ochako isn't here right now. She didn't want to see you. Well, go, so she went to the roof for fresh air. We need to find her, her mother said, still in disbelief. On the roof? Fresh air? No, don't tell me. I need to get to the roof, quick. I said, my eyes widening. What? Son, you shouldn't be moving. You just woke up from a coma, the doctor protested. Yeah, we'll go get her. It's fine, her father added. He isn't her, I insisted, pulling out my 4. I struggled to stand, hobbling toward the door. Wait, Izuku, you just woke up? Please, my mother pleaded. Young Midoriya, All Might said. Let me help you. All Might picked me up, still in his muscle form, and began to move quickly toward the stairs. He must have understood my urgency. Once we reached the stairs, he dashed up them, leaving me at the last step. Thank you, I managed to say. Young Midoriya, be careful. She's probably in a fragile state right now. You mustn't play with her emotions. I nodded and he returned to the others. I carefully climbed the stairs in my weakened state, trying not to stumble as I hadn't been conscious for a while. I reached the roof's door and swung it open. There she was, standing at the edge of the building. My fears were confirmed as she prepared to take a step forward. Uraraka! I shouted as loudly as I could, taking a few steps forward. Her head snapped around, tears streaming down her face. Deku? She said, her voice trembling. She turned back, hesitating at the ledge. What are you doing, Uraraka? I asked, my heart racing. Just go, Dad, please. I need to do this, she said, wiping away tears that continued to fall. Please. See, come down. Everything will be fine. I urged. And no, Dad. I need to do this. Everyone will be so much happier. What are you saying? I asked, confusion flooding my mind. Think about it, Izuku. I hurt you and almost got you killed. I don't deserve to be your friend. My parents. They'll have an easier life without me. Those villains won't get me. And I won't be a murderer like everyone at school calls me, she cried, her voice breaking. Ochako, I started. No. You can't convince me, Deku. I need to do this. My life has been unbearable these last couple of weeks. I could barely eat or sleep. I lived in fear. Nobody even cared about my feelings. Let me do this, Deku, so everyone will be happy again, she sobbed. But I care. About you. I pleaded, tears welling in my eyes. She said, taken aback. How are you? Even here. They said you'd never wake up. And now you're only saying this to get me to come down. I don't want to be saved, Izuku. I want to be free. Why would you even care? She turned back, placing a foot in front of her. It was time. It was now or never. It's because I love you. I shouted as loudly as my weak voice would allow. She turned around, her feet firmly planted again. She asked, tears still streaming down her face. I said I love you. I have. For a long time. It's why I went to save you. It's why I'm like this. Please don't jump. If you did, I'd have to live with it for the rest of my life. So please come down, I pleaded. Remember the tree we sat under? I didn't just go there to relax and listen to music. I went there when I thought of you. I always admired you, Ochako, because I loved you. If you jump now, I would never be the same again. Deku. Do you? She managed to say. For a moment, silence enveloped us. I had just confessed my feelings for her. But finally she wiped her tears away and stepped down from the ledge. She stared at me for a few seconds before breaking into sobs as she walked toward me. Then, as I opened my arms, she sprinted into my embrace. After a few moments, I pulled away slightly and looked into her beautiful brown eyes. I could see the fear and confusion swirling within them. In that moment, I leaned in and pressed my lips gently against hers. Ochako's eyes widened in surprise, but after a few seconds, they closed as mine did. I felt the warmth of our shared emotions as I wrapped my arms around her waist. In that instant, everything we felt for each other was released as we shared our first kiss. I sat in the nurse's station for a while until my mom arrived to pick me up. There was no way I was finishing the day there. She looked worried, and Recovery Girl explained what had happened, with Kirishima helping to calm me down as Izuocha said he could stay with me. After my mom was filled in, we headed to the car and left. I still hadn't fully recovered from my panic and felt utterly exhausted. 2 cases of PTSD in 2 hours. You shouldn't be having these episodes. Ochako, have you been taking your medicine? My mom asked. I didn't feel ready to talk, so I shook my head. Ochako Uraraka. You need to take that medicine, it's not optional. It's meant to help you get better, she scolded. I didn't respond. We've been more than fair to you, Ochako. We've allowed you to go back to school, given you time to recover, and let you visit your friend in the hospital every day. Yet, you still refuse to do the one thing I ask, which is to take the medicine that's supposed to help, my mother stated. I'm not taking it. I hate it, was all I said. And why not? Because when I do, I don't feel normal. I don't feel better about myself. I feel like something's wrong with me. So I'm not taking it, I replied. Fine, don't take it. I just won't take you to see your friend anymore. I hate being harsh, Ochako, but it's the only way for you to understand, she said. No, Mum, you can't. I need to see him. I pleaded. And you need to be taking your medicine too, but you aren't. I'm sorry, Ochako, but I can't take you to see him. But you said, I tried to argue. I said we'd see. But right now, it's a definite no. I'm sorry, honey, but this is how it's going to be. Suddenly, I was filled with anger, and tears began to fall again. I had been through so much being slapped, called names, experiencing 2 episodes of PTSD, and my depression worsening. Now I was being told I couldn't see Izuku. All in one day. It was the worst day of my life. 3 weeks later. I waited outside the rehabilitation center for Izuku's checkups and sessions to be done. A lot had changed since he woke up 3 weeks ago. The 2 villains and the teen had been apprehended by the police that day, and last I heard, they were in jail. As the school promised, Izuku was expelled from UA, which hit him hard, but he was determined to fight it in court. Everyone at school was informed of his awakening, and he explained what had happened. Afterward, everyone finally started talking to me again. I no longer felt scared for my life and was taking the PTSD and depression medicine, which made me feel much better. The police were still searching for the villain they called Master, hoping to find him soon. Overall, everything seemed to be returning to normal. Although one major thing did change. Hey, Ochako. You waited for me? Izuku asked, snapping me from my thoughts. Yeah, of course. I always do, I replied. He walked up to me and gave me a quick kiss on the lips before taking my hand. So, where do you want to go? For our date, I mean? Izuku asked. The people said I can go places now that I can walk normally. That's great news, Izuku. How about that new matcha place up the road? I heard it has really good matcha and green tea. I suggested excitedly. Sure, sounds great. How about a movie afterward? He asked. Sounds perfect. Oh, by the way, the UA dance is coming up soon, and we're allowed to invite 1 non-UA student as our dates. So, would you want to? I asked nervously. Of course I'll go with you, Oka, he replied. Why wouldn't I? I smiled at him and gave him a kiss on the cheek. Truth be told, he hadn't asked me to be his girlfriend yet. We both agreed to take it slow. Besides, we had both admitted we loved each other, and that was enough for me right now. As long as I knew one day I'd be his and that he cared about me, then it was worth the wait. Elsewhere, a man stood inside his office, staring at the blocked-off window. Ishimori and Edward, you failed me. And now you're in jail like low-life scum. No worries. Once I find out which jail, I'll come looking for you. I still need you after all. The man clicked a button, and the shutters on the window began to rise. He chuckled, grinning at what lay outside. It was a cave of some sort, with a concrete bottom. And standing before him below? Hundreds of controlled individuals. He smiled at his precious servants. One day, my precious friends. One day, we will have our liberation. And it's coming sooner than they think. The man walked away from the window and out of the room. At what cost? Chapter 1. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the quiet town. In the midst of this serene setting, a group of friends gathered, their laughter echoing in the air. Among them was a young hero, determined and brave, yet burdened by the weight of expectations. As they shared stories and dreams, a shadow loomed over their gathering. Whispers of danger began to circulate, hinting at a threat that could change everything. The young hero felt a chill run down their spine, sensing that their peaceful days were numbered. Chapter 2. Days turned into weeks, and the atmosphere grew tense. The hero trained tirelessly, pushing their limits, preparing for the unknown. Friends rallied around, offering support and encouragement, reminding them that they were never alone in this fight. One evening, as the stars twinkled above, the hero found solace in the company of a close friend. They shared a moment of quiet understanding, their eyes reflecting the unspoken bond between them. It was a connection built on trust and shared experiences, a light in the growing darkness. Chapter 3. The day of reckoning arrived. The hero and their friends stood together, ready to face the impending threat. As they confronted the danger, the battle was fierce, filled with flashes of light and bursts of energy. Each clash echoed with determination, but the stakes were high. In the midst of the chaos, the hero felt a surge of power, fueled by the support of their friends. They fought valiantly, their heart racing as they dodged and countered, each move calculated and precise. The enemy was formidable, but the hero's spirit burned bright. Chapter 4. As the dust settled, the hero emerged victorious, though not without scars both seen and unseen. The friends gathered around, relief washing over them as they celebrated their hard-won triumph. Yet, beneath the surface, the hero knew that the battle was far from over. In the quiet moments that followed, the hero reflected on the journey. They had faced fears, forged bonds, and discovered the true meaning of strength. With a renewed sense of purpose, they looked to the future, ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead. Chapter 5. In the days that followed, the hero and their friends found joy in the little things: a shared meal, laughter echoing through the halls, and the promise of new adventures. They knew that together, they could face anything. As they gathered one last time under the stars, the hero felt a sense of peace. The journey had been long and fraught with challenges, but it had also been filled with love and friendship. With hearts full of hope, they stepped into the future, ready to write their own story. The end.